Chapter 2271, Exploring the Tomb Again. 1. After returning to the cave and resting for a night, Lei Yan and the others were duly reprimanded by Yi Qing. Now, the teenagers were as obedient as dogs. Yi Qing's word was the law. After settling them in and giving them her instructions, Yi Qing Tang made some preparations before leading the night-souled beast toward the Fiend Celestial's tomb once more. She specially found an empty spot of time when none of the factions were outside the tomb, and quickly entered it. With her prior experience and her memories from her previous life, Yi Qingtang's second venture into the tomb went very smoothly. But there was a difference from her first time. The entire tomb was now filled with the thick stench of blood. On the matrix path, Yi Qingtang glanced at the densely packed evil demon statues and saw a mess of blood and flesh. Countless bodies were piled beneath the feet of those statues. Fresh blood had dyed the entire ground a deep red. An endless sea of pulverized flesh and internal organs were piled together. Crushed by the statues, those bodies were completely deformed. They looked like mounds of fleshy pulp stacked around the statues. In her first experience entering the tomb, the place had been filled with a strange aura. But now, this place was like hell on earth. Walking past the matrix path and stepping into the palace with the illusory doors, the formerly pristine grounds were also strewn with countless bodies. All the doors looked like they had been opened. Bloodstains streaked the edges of the doorways. There were different sorts of illusory doors. Yi Qingtang had just wanted to divert the attention of the various factions, and so had chosen the safest one for them. Inside that particular door, one would only experience certain illusions. It was not that lethal. But the other doors were fatal. Amongst so many doors, there was only one which would lead to the true path forward. A single misstep could bring endless calamity. Yi Qingtang took a deep breath. Only 2 weeks had passed and the inside of the Fiend Celestial's tomb was already covered in corpses. The number of people who had died was already beyond estimation. An increasing number of major factions and an increasing number of powerful practitioners had come in. But in the end, none of them managed to make it out alive. Passing through the illusory door, Yi Qingtang arrived at the boundless river. She had made a special mark at the place where she dived into the river. The entire route was imprinted in her memory and she followed that route as she swam inside the river. Those undead mermaids swam in the waters. Yi Qingtang personally saw them dragging those who had already drowned into the depths. Even the waters were filled with the thick taste of blood. Bits of flesh which had been torn off floated in the water, making the river even murkier. After leaving the boundless river, Yi Qingtang finally arrived at a familiar tunnel. She pushed herself onwards until she soon found the dazzling scene. But before Yi Qingtang arrived at the Fiend Celestial's treasure trove, piteous cries echoed from somewhere up front. Loud wails and softer whimperings echoed into the tunnel. Those cries plus the smell of blood made one feel as if they had accidentally stepped onto the stairway to hell. Yi Qingtang frowned slightly as she quickened her steps. When she arrived at the entrance of the treasure trove, she saw that it had turned into hell on earth. Chapter 2272, Exploring the Tomb Again. 2. Inside the dazzling treasure trove, garish streaks of blood splattered all across the jewels and artifacts. Multiple corpses were strewn across those treasures which could drive a person mad. Those highly desired treasures had now become a burial ground for the various factions. The bodies piled up on the treasures had died wretchedly, none of them whole. Vast amounts of fresh blood dyed those bodies a bloody red. The vibrant red color looked exceptionally eye-catching against the dazzling treasures. Help! Help! Cries and wails echoed through the treasure trove. A group of bloodied people was scurrying madly in all directions. Their faces were filled with shock. Gone were the initial signs of delight at discovering this treasure trove. Yi Qingtang looked over with a grim expression. While she could see those people running wildly, she did not see anything pursuing them. No. Yi Qingtang suddenly realized that there seemed to be something hidden in the treasure piles behind those men. It was protruding slightly and speeding toward those men. Something hidden within the treasure piles was quietly chasing after those greedy intruders. Tinkle tinkle tinkle. The clear sound of countless treasures clinking against each other rang out. A massive black figure suddenly burst out from underneath the treasure pile. Before those men could react, that black figure had pounced upon the first few. It then burrowed back into the treasure pile and sped toward the others. Dismembered remains were all that was left of those who had been attacked. The bodies of those men were cut off at the waist. The top halves were missing and fresh blood gushed out from the opening at the waist. Hot blood sprayed all over like raindrops. What was that thing? Yi Qingtang was shocked. When she had first stepped into the Fiend Celestial's treasure trove, she already detected something horrifying was hidden underneath the treasure piles. But the speed of that thing had been too fast. Even Yi Qingtang could not see what it was. All she saw was a black shadow flashing by and killing those men. Yi Qingtang noticed that those who had lost the upper halves of their bodies soon collapsed to the ground, and bloody treasures rolling out from their pockets. Treasures inside the Fiend Celestial's tomb should not be touched, indeed, greed would attract the hidden monster. Boom! A loud crash sounded out from somewhere nearby. Yi Qingtang saw an imperious-looking elder frowning and with his hands lifted. He held no sword but his spirit energy had morphed into the shape of one as he slashed at the approaching monster. Emperor-level practitioner. Yi Qingtang was startled. The elder had an extremely powerful aura, and it was apparent that he was not an ordinary cultivator. This was a true blue Emperor-level practitioner. Even in the second domain, an Emperor-level practitioner was an elite existence. This elder was extraordinarily powerful. One of the factions must have sent him here to explore the Fiend Celestial's tomb. But at that moment, the elder was not at all relaxed. He even looked somewhat wretched. The monster beneath appeared completely unharmed even after he slashed at it. Its speed didn't decrease as it barreled out of the treasure pile. Heavenly Tyrant Constitution. The elder gave a low shout. A golden beam of light engulfed him and all the treasures near him were blown away. His body seemed to be stained by the golden light, such that his skin was now giving off a dazzling golden sheen. Chapter 2273, Exploring the Tomb Again, 3, That black shadow pounced forward. It completely engulfed the golden light radiating from the elder. In the blink of an eye, the Heavenly Tyrant Constitution's powerful aura completely vanished. The black shadow once again burrowed into the treasure pile, leaving behind a pool of fresh blood on the surface. Yi Qingtang watched as that Emperor-level practitioner launched an Emperor-level defense, only to be completely hapless before the black figure's attack. At this moment, she realized that the power of that black shadow was already far beyond that of an Emperor-level practitioner. There were still many people inside the treasure trove who were trying to escape. They looked just like lambs being prepped for slaughter. Yi Qingtang quietly took a deep breath. She was very sure that she was no match for that black shadow. After all, even that Emperor-level practitioner was not able to leave this treasure trove in one piece. How could she stand a chance? But, she had to get that evil fruit. Yi Qingtang scanned the treasure trove. With her previous experience, she already knew that as long as she didn't touch anything here, that black figure would not attack her. The evil fruit was growing on that demon tree and that tree was very near the exit. And the black figure was presently occupied with the other men running around the treasure trove. Perhaps she could take this opportunity to go near the demon tree, quickly pick that evil fruit and sprint toward the exit. Yi Qingtang's mind raced. The men from the various factions had probably taken the items here, incurring the wrath of the black figure protecting this place. The black shadow would never let a single person off. This might be a good chance for her. Steadying her heart, Yi Qingtang swallowed several bottles of elixirs before sneaking across the blood-drenched treasure trove. Piteous cries from the various factions echoed endlessly around. They were paying the price for their greed. Heaven knew how thrilled and eager they had been when they saw this treasure trove, filled with jewels and artifacts all ripe for the taking. But this place had ended up being their burial ground. Yi Qingtang circled around those fleeing men, heading straight for the demon tree. As she expected, as long as she didn't touch anything, the black shadow paid no attention to her. Soon enough, she reached the demon tree. Looking up, she quickly located the evil fruit. But she was in no big hurry to grab it. She surveyed the treasure trove and paid close attention to where the black figure was. Only when the black shadow had pursued a group of men to a spot furthest away from her location did Yi Qingtang's eyes flicker. It was now or never. Yi Qingtang flew up onto the tree and picked the evil fruit as fast as she could. But the moment her hand touched the evil fruit, a loud roar sounded out. The entire treasure trove shook intensely. The black figure which was hidden beneath the treasures erupted in rage, rocking the entire sea of treasures, turning them all upside down. At this moment, everyone finally saw the true form of that black figure. It was a massive black snake. When its body was finally revealed, everyone could see that it was extremely mammoth in size, spanning the entire treasure trove. And those treasures were just piled upon the body of that snake. Chapter 2274, Black Snake, 1. The enraged black snake, which had been toying around with those intruders before killing them, had now lost all patience. The moment its massive body emerged, all living beings inside the treasure trove were immediately crushed into meat pulp. No one even had the chance to struggle. There was no hope for survival at all. The moment they stepped into the treasure trove and took a treasure, they had been condemned to death. After all, they were already standing on the body of that monster. As the black snake pulverized everyone, its blood-red eyes were fixated upon Yi Qingtang at the demon tree. Shit! This was bad. Yi Qingtang's heart leaped. It was too late to let go now. Stuffing the evil fruit into her space ring, she pelted towards the tunnel at the back. Roar! The black snake erupted like a wild beast. Cold sweat drenched Yi Qingtang's back. She had initially found it very strange. Those fleeing men could split up in different directions so that at least some would have the chance to escape while the black shadow was busy with the others. But now, after witnessing the body of that black snake, Yi Qingtang finally understood the reason. Everyone had underestimated the size of that black snake. It was everywhere. Yi Qingtang felt like throwing up blood. If she had known that snake was so big, she wouldn't have taken such a huge risk. The various factions had touched the treasures in this treasure trove, which triggered the murderous pursuit by that black snake. But the black snake had revealed its entire body only after Yi Qingtang picked that evil fruit. It was clear that the treasures growing on that demon tree were far more valuable than any of the other things in that treasure trove. Yi Qingtang was already fleeing as fast as she could. But that black snake moved at an astounding speed. In the blink of an eye, it was already right behind Yi Qingtang. Heart leaping out of her throat, Yi Qingtang instinctively thought of using the Night Soul Beast to block. But the Night Soul Beast by her side also looked extremely terrified. As if it was also very frightened of that black snake. What was going on? Weren't the Night Soul Beast and that black snake both guardians of the Fiend Celestial's tomb? Why would the Night Soul Beast also be attacked by the black snake? Yi Qingtang could not confirm but had no time to dally. Gritting her teeth, she dashed with all her might toward the tunnel. There was no time to bother about anything else. She could only try her best to flee. Going by her memory, Yi Qingtang charged straight into the hibernation area of the Night Soul Beasts. Previously, those Night Soul Beasts had been in hibernation, but perhaps they were now awake and hanging around the cave. Dashing into the cave, Yi Qingtang saw the densely packed crowd of Night Soul Beasts. They looked like they were still sleeping, sprawled together in one tightly packed herd. Whether she would live or die, it would be determined by this gamble. Yi Qingtang could already feel the breath of the black snake on her back. Slamming her eyes shut, she pounced toward the herd of slumbering night soul beasts. The night soul beast with Yi Qingtang had wanted to make use of the black snake to get rid of this human. But its face completely fell when it saw Yi Qingtang luring that snake into the night soul beast's lair. What was this human trying to do? The night soul beast was about to go insane. Although the night soul beasts and black snake were both guardians of the tomb, they were from entirely different races and stood guard over different areas. Chapter 2275, Black Snake, 2. It could be said that those two never really got the chance to meet. This was the first time the night soul beast saw the real form of the black snake. Once the black snake attacked, it would be a senseless killing machine. It only knew to keep attacking. So it was natural the night soul beasts would never go provoking this kind of dangerous being. But now, the night soul beast was despondent. Yi Qingtang dived straight into the herd of night soul beasts, closely followed by that black snake, who pounced with its jaws wide open. As she was petite, she managed to squeeze into a gap right between a few night soul beasts. But that black snake was massive, and one snap of its jaws slashed the bodies of those night soul beasts into halves. Night soul beasts were not made of flesh and blood. They consumed souls for food, and their bodies were only part matter. Attacked in the middle of their hibernation, those night soul beasts immediately woke up. When they came to their senses, they realized that it was the black snake, the guardian of the next-door treasure trove, that was attacking them. Roar! Those night soul beasts who were injured gave warning roars. The night soul beasts and black snake were two different races, and they had always stayed out of each other's way. Who would have thought that the black snake would suddenly attack them? Those night soul beasts were very big, and after being enraged by the attack, they were completely oblivious to the guilty party hidden amongst them. The black snake was still focused on Yi Qingtang. It would only pursue those who took a treasure. It had no interest in those night soul beasts at all. The black snake opened its jaws again and attacked the spot where Yi Qingtang was hidden. Those night soul beasts saw that the black snake was attacking once more and immediately roared again. Their roars were like thunder, echoing throughout the entire cave. The other slumbering night soul beasts were awakened by those roars. In the blink of an eye, countless night soul beasts were awakened. The night soul beasts had no idea what was happening. They just knew that right after waking up, they saw the black snake attacking their own kind. The night soul beasts all roared in unison. One-on-one, they were no match for the black snake, but they had an advantage in numbers now. They would never actively provoke the black snake, but now that it was madly attacking them, they would not just lay down and wait for death. In the blink of an eye, countless night soul beasts pounced toward the mad, black snake. Soon enough, the colossal body of the black snake was engulfed by countless night soul beasts. The black snake was powerful, but those night soul beasts were no weaklings either. And they had numbers on their side. In addition, the night soul beasts' bodies were only half solid, and they could not be completely eradicated. For a moment there, the black snake was trapped by all those beasts, unable to shake them off. Yi Qingtang saw that her plan had worked. Not daring to delay a second longer, she grabbed her night soul beast and fled out of the cave. She did not dare to leave her night soul beast, who knew what had really happened, behind in the cave. If it ratted her out to its friends, wouldn't both the black snake and night soul beasts chase her to the ends of the earth? Yi Qingtang understood now. The black snake and night soul beasts were both guardians of the tomb. But the two of them did not interact at all. It was because of this that such a fortuitous misunderstanding had arisen. Chapter 2276, Black Snake, 3. The night soul beast who had been dragged away by Yi Qingtang could only watch as its own kind were tricked into fighting with that black snake. It looked extremely aggrieved. Despicable. Shameless. Yi Qingtang heaved a secret sigh of relief. Following her memory, she located the exit and was prepared to leave as soon as possible. But the moment she saw the exit, the entire tomb suddenly shook violently. It was like the entire tomb was about to collapse. Shocked, she tried her best to steady herself. But the powerful vibrations threw her to the other side. Bam! Yi Qingtang crashed into the wall at the side of the exit. A large crack appeared on the wall where Yi Qingtang crashed into it. Before she could steady herself, a second wave of violent tremors came. This time, she ended up completely crashing straight through the wall. She and the Night Soul Beast both fell into the wall. The ground continued to shake and Yi Qingtang was unable to see at all in the darkness. She did not dare to move, fearing that she had inadvertently landed in another region of the tomb. Who knew what kind of trap would be triggered if she moved? After a long time, the vibrations finally stopped. Only then did Yi Qingtang manage to see her surroundings clearly. It was a completely sealed-off secret room. It was not very big and there appeared to be nothing strange about it. Yi Qingtang did not remember hearing about such a room in her previous life. Yi Qingtang was in no mood to examine this secret room. She wanted to escape back into the hole in the wall, and leave this tomb immediately. But just as Yi Qingtang was prepared to leave, a massive black figure appeared at the hole in the wall. Familiar blood-red eyes shone directly through the hole. Yi Qingtang felt like all the blood in her body had instantly frozen. The black snake had already shaken off those Night Soul Beasts and caught up with her. Now, standing on the other side of the wall, it was looking right at her through that hole. Doomed, she couldn't escape after all. It was as if Yi Qingtang could feel her own death approaching. Being forced into this secret room, she had nowhere to run. She could only stand there and be slaughtered by that black snake. Yi Qingtang was resigned to her fate. But, the black snake suddenly moved and those blood-red eyes swiveled, as it was looking at something else, and not at Yi Qingtang. The black snake didn't attack. It just kept swaying its head, as if trying to look for something. Yi Qingtang was confused. The black snake's attacks had always been swift and direct. She had taken the evil fruit from the demon tree and there was no reason for the black snake to hesitate. Just as Yi Qingtang was feeling puzzled, that black snake suddenly lifted its head and banged it into the hole. Yi Qingtang was startled. The black snake was finally breaking into this secret room to kill her. But a strange scene played out before Yi Qingtang. As that black snake banged into the hole, it seemed to be banging against some invisible force. With a loud crash, it remained separated on the outside of the secret room. There seemed to be something around that hole, which was blocking the advancement of the black snake. Frustrated, the black snake kept banging against the wall but was completely unable to enter the secret room. Its eyes scanned the area but never really landed on Yi Qingtang. Chapter 2277, Secret Room, 1, That feeling, it was like it could not see Yi Qingtang at all, but could only feel her aura behind that wall. What was going on? Yi Qingtang was puzzled. Even in her previous life, Yi Qingtang did not hear anything about this secret room. Not only that, in her previous life, apart from the Night Soul Beasts, there had been no information regarding the black snake either. If Yi Qingtang hadn't personally experienced it, she had no idea that a black snake existed inside the treasure trove. What the hell went wrong? Could it be that several hundred years later, the black snake had already disappeared by the time the various factions entered the Fiend Celestial's tomb? And what about this secret room? Yi Qingtang felt increasingly puzzled. This black snake's powers were terrifying. It could easily kill even an Emperor-level practitioner and so many Night Soul Beasts only managed to delay it for a short while. But this secret room was able to completely block the black snake. After confirming that the black snake could not see her and could not enter the secret room, Yi Qingtang finally turned her attention to this room. There was nothing inside. But an ancient and mysterious-looking array formation was drawn on the floor. Looking at the patterns drawn on 8 sides of the array formation, Yi Qingtang found them strangely familiar. Weren't they the patterns she had seen in the Night Soul Beast's cave earlier? But the patterns in the cave had been singular, while in this secret room, they were merged into an array formation. What kind of array formation is this? Yi Qingtang narrowed her eyes. This pattern was strangely familiar. She felt like she had also seen this somewhere else apart from the cave. But for the moment, Yi Qingtang could not recall the exact location. Separated by a single wall, the black snake was still trying to get into the secret room. But this secret room seemed to possess a special power, completely sealing the snake off on the outside. With the black snake keeping guard outside the hole, there was no way Yi Qingtang would go through it. So she just sat down cross-legged and took out the evil fruit from her space ring. The evil fruit was pitch black and laid quietly in Yi Qingtang's hand. Yi Qingtang shook her head. She had risked her life for this evil fruit. Now that she had it, Yi Qingtang didn't intend to waste it. Since she couldn't leave for now, she might as well use this evil fruit first. Holding the evil fruit between her palms and crossing all 10 fingers, Yi Qingtang shut her eyes and slowly guided the evil fruit's energy toward her heart. Time passed by the second, which slowly stretched into minutes. The evil fruit's energy was gradually being absorbed by Yi Qingtang. That energy transformed into a shapeless aura, slowly seeping into the heart of the heavenly Tao. The seal, which had been loose for some time, started to mend with the infusion of that aura. It was like a net being gradually weaved. Bit by bit, the heart of the heavenly Tao's aura was once again sealed off. Completely focused on sealing her heart of the heavenly Tao, Yi Qingtang didn't notice that wisps of foggy air had suddenly appeared. As Yi Qingtang guided the evil fruit's energy, that fog moved away from the array formation and started being absorbed into her body. Standing by the side, the Night Soul Beast was filled with shock at the sight. But Yi Qingtang was concentrating on taking care of her heart of the heavenly Tao now and did not notice anything at all. Chapter 2278, Secret Room, 2. It was only after Yi Qingtang completely absorbed the evil fruit's energy that she opened her eyes. Opening her hands, she found that the evil fruit had disappeared, as if it had never existed. Suddenly, the black snake stopped banging against the wall. It appeared somewhat dazed. Swaying its head a little, it suddenly turned and slithered back to the treasure trove. What happened? Why did it leave? Don't tell me there are others who have barged into the treasure trove. Yi Qingtang stared at the departing black snake in surprise. She felt somewhat confused. By the side, the Night Soul Beast glanced at Yi Qingtang before lifting one paw and gestured at the empty space between her hands. Yi Qingtang instantly understood the Night Soul Beast's hint. You are saying that the evil fruit is gone, so the black snake has lost its target? Yi Qingtang asked. The Night Soul Beast nodded. It finally understood that this human was too sly. Now that the black snake had run off, it was near impossible for it to try and cause her death now. Yi Qingtang's eyes lit up. But she didn't dare to fully believe the Night Soul Beast. Although the black snake had left, who knew if it was just a pretense to try and lure her out? Yi Qingtang placed caution above all. She did not intend to leave immediately. She had to observe for a further period of time first, to make sure that the black snake had really departed. As she waited and examined her heart of the heavenly Tao situation, the seal was fully repaired and it should be able to hold for at least half a year. It is indeed a treasure left behind by the Fiend Celestial. Very effective. Yi Qingtang stretched and inadvertently realized that she seemed to have gained a strange power. Don't tell me that by absorbing that evil fruit, not only can it form a seal, it can also increase my power. Yi Qingtang was surprised. But she soon realized that the new power inside her body gave off a different feeling than the evil fruit. They were two completely different energies. What was going on? Glancing down, Yi Qingtang's gaze landed on the array formation on the floor. Was she imagining things, or did the array formation seem to exude a faint glow now? Yi Qingtang had an idea. She circulated the spirit energy inside her body and tried to cultivate it. Since the energy didn't come from the evil fruit, that meant it could only have come from this secret room. Even the black snake couldn't enter this secret room. So it could be seen just how much power it possessed. If she was correct, this array formation was the key. Yi Qingtang started cultivating. She didn't close her eyes this time and saw everything that happened with the array formation. Wisps of foggy mist rose continuously from the array formation and were absorbed into Yi Qingtang's body. That new power in her body became increasingly thick. In addition, as she cultivated, that strange energy was gradually being transformed and completely absorbed into her body. Even more astonishing was that the energy was very pure. She had never experienced something like that before. In just a few seconds, she could already feel an intense feeling from the energy she had absorbed. She had been suppressing her cultivation stage and storing her excess powers. If she didn't do that, that bit of energy she had absorbed would be enough for her break through a heaven level. What kind of formidable array formation was that? So remarkable. Don't tell me this is also something left behind by the Fiend Celestial. Yi Qingtang's eyes lit up. She had really come across a real treasure this time. Chapter 2279, Secret Room, 3. Originally Yi Qingtang had been eager to leave, but now, she had no intention of leaving so soon. She had never heard anyone talk about this array formation in her previous life. It was undeniable that it was very effective. There was no way Yi Qingtang would miss out on such an amazing cultivation ground. Focusing her mind once more, Yi Qingtang started to absorb the aura coming out from the array formation. As she cultivated, Yi Qingtang didn't notice a nondescript black ball hidden at the ceiling of the secret room. As the black snake killed, the black ball absorbed the souls of countless powerful practitioners. But once Yi Qingtang entered the secret room and sat down on the array formation to cultivate, the energy stored inside the black ball was transformed by the array formation and then absorbed into Yi Qingtang's body. The feeling of absorbing this kind of energy was very miraculous. Albeit strange, somehow it could slowly be transformed. It was like something had already pre-cultivated this energy before. As Yi Qingtang cultivated, the energy stored inside the hidden black ball was also being drawn out by the array formation. The feeling of having one's powers rapidly increased was intoxicating. Yi Qingtang seemed to forget her surroundings and her fatigue, fully concentrated on cultivating. It was like she was submerged in darkness, with countless streams of light flashing by and then shooting straight into her body. After a long time, Yi Qingtang felt like the power she had been storing had reached its maximum level. Finally she opened her eyes, which glimmered with delight. There was a limit to Yi Qingtang's way of cultivating while suppressing her cultivation stage. If she stored too much power, she would not be able to continue cultivating. She had to release this restriction. But she had a good amount of energy stored. Yi Qingtang could already feel her body was filled with energy just waiting to be released. She was not sure after unleashing that energy, how high her powers would increase. A conservative estimate would be an increase of at least 3 to 4 heaven levels. She was now at the Paragon's 6th heaven level. If she removed the restriction, it should be no problem for her to reach the 9th heaven level. If the effects were good, she might even reach the Divine Lord stage. In the second domain, Yi Qingtang's powers were considered mediocre. And this energy came from the second domain itself, so it was naturally extremely effective. Yi Qingtang tried again. She confirmed that the amount of energy she had stored was already at maximum levels. After unleashing it, she would definitely ascend to a higher cultivation stage, but she did not dare to do that here. After all, she always placed caution above everything else. Standing up, Yi Qingtang peered out of the hole. During this period, although she had been cultivating, she did not let down her guard at all. But she didn't spot any signs of the black snake returning. After observing for a while longer, and confirming that the black snake was nowhere near, she prepared to leave the secret room. But before that, Yi Qingtang studied the array formation. This array formation was so useful. She planned to go back and analyze it further. Another idea popped into her head. She already got what she wanted from the Fiend Celestial's tomb. Now that the evil fruit had been absorbed, the black snake would no longer target her. She didn't desire any other item in the treasure trove either. After she released the restriction on her stored energy, perhaps she could find another opportunity to return and continue cultivating. Once she had decided, Yi Qingtang finally led the Night Soul Beast out of the secret room. Chapter 2280, Moving Up, 1, Leaving the secret room and returning to the tunnel, Yi Qingtang suddenly realized something. The hole in which she had entered the secret room had disappeared. Right in front of her was a complete and whole wall. Did the crack mend itself? Taken aback, Yi Qingtang instinctively reached out. Her hand passed right through the wall. Yi Qingtang instantly understood. No wonder the black snake looked like it couldn't see me. So this secret room has this kind of illusion. Yi Qingtang lowered her eyes and saw a pile of shattered rocks on the ground. The illusion of the wall mending itself was probably created by the array formation in the secret room. Understanding this, Yi Qingtang hurried over to the exit. After recovering her vision, Yi Qingtang was now outside the entrance. She saw quite a number of people around the area. But those people were from the various factions and they were just about to enter the tomb. They were all focused on the tomb and did not realize the sudden appearance of Yi Qingtang. Yi Qingtang knew how dangerous it was inside the tomb. But even if she were to warn everyone here, they would probably not believe her. Instead, they would suspect her of having ulterior motives and might even kill her. Before the crowd could notice her presence, Yi Qingtang quietly snuck off. Soon enough, she returned to the campsite with the Night Soul Beast. At this point, Lei Yan and the rest looked very forlorn. The faces of the teenagers were covered in dirt and dust. Where did boss go? It's already been so long. Why is he not back yet? Did something happen to him? Lei Yan spoke despondently. After Yi Qingtang told them that she had to go settle some affairs, she disappeared without a trace and had not returned since. At first, the teenagers didn't feel anything amiss. But as time passed, they started to feel anxious. Nangong Lai smacked Lei Yan on the back of the head. Shut your inauspicious mouth. Who do you think boss is? He is someone who can make a Night Soul Beast as tame as a cat. What can possibly happen to him? Stop making such wild guesses. Nangong Lai might be saying that, but in his heart, he was also feeling rather anxious. Originally they had planned to go and look for Yi Qing, but the number of factions entering the Evil Soul Forest had increased over this period. With the prior incident still looming over their heads, they didn't dare to venture out. Boss was weaker than them, but somehow, they had a certain level of faith in him. Especially after their experience in the Fiend Celestial's tomb. They just felt that nothing was too difficult for their boss to overcome. Yun Chen, Qin Feng and the rest also looked anxious. Yi Qing's continued absence caused the hearts of those teenagers to sink even deeper. Over time, they had started to regard Yi Qing as some kind of spiritual leader. They were useless garbage disdained by the entire academy. Yi Qing was the only one who chose not to give up on them. Ahem, let's not talk about this anymore. I say, Qin Feng, your powers have increased tremendously. I think you must be close to the Divine Lord stage now. Nangong Lai changed the subject. Slightly taken aback, Qin Feng nodded. At most another 2 weeks. Nangong Lai gasped. Amazing. My brother is so awesome. Qin Feng remained silent. His powers had been declining so much that he had given up on himself. But unexpectedly, under Yi Qing's guidance, his powers started to increase again. In fact, his formerly declining powers started to improve rapidly. Previously, he was already close to the Divine Lord stage. Now that his powers were rising again, it was only natural that his rate of progress was faster than others. Chapter 2281, Moving Up, 2, Sigh. I say, am I missing boss too much? Somehow, I feel that tree looks like him. Lei Yan rubbed his chin. The corners of Nangong Lai's lips twitched. You've gone mad. Now, whatever you look at will appear like, damn. Boss. You really are back. The teenagers had been grumbling amongst themselves. And now, Yi Qing had really returned. Boss, Mu Ziying stood up and looked at Yi Qing and the rims of her eyes turned red. What's the matter? Did those brats bully you when I was away? Yi Qing Tang did not try to hide her preferential treatment toward girls. She caressed Mu Ziying's head. Hey! Little senior sister, don't say things that aren't true. We didn't do anything to you. Lei Yan immediately tried to defend himself. Who didn't know that Mu Ziying was boss' precious baby? Who would dare to bully her? Boss, you're finally back. If you still hadn't returned, Lei Yan would start seeing you in every object. Nangong Lai wisely changed the subject. Standing by the side, Jing Zhe, Yun Chen and Qin Feng all heaved a sigh of relief on seeing Yi Qing's return. They were not like those two bubbly, extroverted boys and mostly kept their emotions to themselves. Shut up. How can you talk badly about me the moment boss returns? Can you live with yourself? Lei Yan chided Nangong Lai. Yi Qingtang's mood lightened quite a bit on seeing this bunch of noisy brats. But she soon noticed that their powers had increased significantly during her absence. Every single one of them had risen by at least 1 or 2 heaven levels. Yi Qingtang was astonished by this discovery. You lot have been very hard-working during this time. Yi Qingtang was pleased. Of course. Boss, while you were away this entire month, we've been training non-stop. Lei Yan reported smugly, just waiting for Yi Qing to praise him. Yi Qingtang was taken aback. A month? I've been away a whole month. Inside the secret room, Yi Qingtang was immersed in her cultivation and didn't feel the passage of time. She thought that she had only been in the secret room for a few days, but, that's right, boss. You were away for a whole month. Yun Chen nodded. Yi Qingtang looked slightly bewildered. She didn't expect to have lingered in the secret room for an entire month. Yun Chen and Qin Feng were the most sensitive and they sensed that Yi Qing seemed to be unaware just how long he had been away. Meanwhile, the simple-minded Lei Yan and Nangong Lai did not notice anything amiss. Now that Yi Qing had returned, all they wanted to do was to show him how much they had progressed over the past month. Rising by 1 to 2 heaven levels in a month was something they had never even dared to imagine. All of them had been enrolled in the Netherworld Academy for at least a year. But their powers had not seen much improvement. Now, after being under Yi Qing for only a short period of time, their powers had progressed so significantly. It was not difficult to understand why those teenagers were practically worshipping Yi Qing like a god. Yi Qingtang looked on as they exhibited their powers. She didn't appear surprised. In reality, Lei Yan and the rest were blessed with pretty good innate talents. Otherwise, with their previous powers and cultivation attitudes, they would have already been kicked out of the Netherworld Academy a long time ago. The Academy wouldn't have waited so long to do so. Chapter 2282, Moving Up, 3, Their biggest problem was that their cultivation methods were unsuitable. The current state of martial arts was not that developed or open-minded and the major academies taught their students using only their own methods. But the methods they used might not be suitable for every single student. It was only 300 years later that martial arts underwent a major overhaul. The various academies started to accept other styles of teaching. From then on, the number of powerful practitioners in the second domain increased exponentially. It was no longer that difficult to ascend to the Divine Lord stage. Yi Qingtang had lived through that era and brought her knowledge of martial arts from that period to the present. She also brought with her a much advanced culture of martial arts. Methods which continuously developed a practitioner's innate potential were the most suitable for Lei Yan and his gang. On top of that, Yi Qingtang had brought Lei Yan and the rest to the Evil Soul Forest, to gain some real battle experience with the beasts here. This kind of practice was far more effective than the inflexible and mechanical teaching methods of the academy. One could only unleash your true potential in a real battle. Furthermore, their experience in the Fiend Celestial's tomb had opened the teenagers' eyes to a brand new world. Having experienced such a highly stressful and extremely dangerous environment, those pampered teenagers realized the wide disparity between themselves and the powerful practitioners in the world. That had motivated them to practice even harder. Not bad. After seeing everyone's progress, hints of a smile surfaced in Yi Qing's eyes. You guys can take a rest for the next couple of days. After, I will take you to a sacred cultivation ground. Sacred cultivation ground? Boss, were you gone during this period because you were helping us find a sacred cultivation ground? Lei Yan asked with sparkling eyes. Yi Qing nodded. Thrilled, the teenagers started cheering. Shaking her head in amusement, Yi Qingtang smiled at their delighted faces. She hoped that they could still maintain this level of excitement when they arrived at the sacred cultivation ground. During this period, an endless stream of factions had entered the Evil Soul Forest. After observing for a while, Yi Qingtang found a spot of time when they could avoid the factions, and led Lei Yan and the rest out of their camp. The teenagers had been so excited and impatient to see this sacred cultivation ground mentioned by Yi Qing. They could hardly conceal their excitement as they made their way there. But they had now once again arrived at the entrance of the Fiend Celestial's tomb. The teenagers could barely maintain the smiles on their faces. Boss, why did you bring us here? Lei Yan asked carefully. To go to the sacred cultivation ground, Yi Qing replied, deadpan. The teenagers were all dumbstruck. Even Mu Ziying, who held the most faith in Yi Qing, was also stunned. Let's go. Not giving them any time to digest this information, Yi Qing walked through the large door. Lei Yan and the rest stood there in a daze outside, watching as Yi Qing entered that place which had given them endless nightmares. They broke out in goosebumps. Is boss playing a joke on us? Sacred cultivation ground. The Fiend Celestial's tomb. Lei Yan felt like crying. Qin Feng exchanged looks with Jing Zhe and Yun Chen before being the first to follow Yi Qing. Soon after, Jing Zhe and the others followed as well. Lei Yan saw that he was the only one left outside. Sighing, he resigned himself to his fate and dashed in. Chapter 2283, Moving Up, 4, the sight of that dank and dark tomb, along with the terrifyingly familiar matrix path. Just thinking of it made Lei Yan's hair stand on end. Previously, Mu Ziying had been knocked unconscious and so she didn't have much memory of the matrix path. Everything she knew had been told to her by Lei Yan and the others. Now that she was seeing the countless evil demon statues firsthand, the amount of bloodied flesh and corpses seemed to be much more than what Lei Yan and the others had described previously. The teenagers had no idea why Yi Qing would want to come to this godforsaken place. But since boss was already leading the way, they had no choice but to steel their resolve and follow him. Luckily they had already been through once, and so although still very fearful, they didn't panic. After passing the matrix path and the illusory doors, Yi Qing led them through the boundless river. They were now once again at the treasure trove. But it was different from the previous time. Throughout this whole journey, the smell of blood was more intense, with piles of bodies as high as mountains. It transformed this tomb into a hell on earth. Yi Qingtang was very careful when she entered the treasure trove. She only led the group forward after making sure the black snake had no intention of making an appearance. Halfway, Yi Qingtang surveyed the treasures at the side and noticed a severed head that was already decaying. That head was much smaller than an adult's and looked like it belonged to a child. But the decay made it such that the features were no longer discernible. However, Yi Qingtang saw an exquisite earring on the rotting ear. It was the demon child's earring. Yi Qingtang gave a quiet sigh. During her observation of the evil soul forest the past few days, she didn't see any night soul beasts. The hibernation period seemed to be endlessly prolonged. The hibernation period of the night soul beasts should be only 3 to 4 days. But now, there seemed to be no end to it. Without the night soul beasts around, the various factions would feel that the evil soul forest was much less dangerous. If not for this hibernation period, none of the major factions would dare to come here. But why were the night soul beasts all still in hibernation? Yi Qingtang was puzzled. They arrived at the cave filled with slumbering night soul beasts. They looked as if they had never been awakened. Yi Qingtang carefully led the teenagers past the sleeping beasts. Lei Yan and the rest had been on high alert the entire journey. They were also very curious about this sacred cultivation ground mentioned by Yi Qing. But as they followed Yi Qing, they realized. Wasn't this the way out of the Fiend Celestial's tomb? What was Boss trying to do? They were nearly out of this place now. But when they arrived at the exit, Yi Qing suddenly stopped. Scanning the surrounding walls, she lifted her hand and reached out according to her memory. The teenagers found it very strange at first but were completely stunned after they saw Yi Qing's hand pass right through the wall. After confirming that she could still access the secret room, Yi Qingtang had Mu Ziying and the rest directly enter. The teenagers passed through the illusion and entered the secret room. Their faces were filled with astonishment. What is this place? Boss, how did you discover this place? Yi Qingtang didn't say anything. Back then she had accidentally stumbled across this room. But since it was a great place to cultivate, of course she had to make good use of it. Just sit down on this array formation and start cultivating. Chapter 2284, Moving Up. 5, Yi Qingtang had already planned this from the previous time as she was leaving the tomb. There was not that much time left until the Inter-Academy competition, so she had to use every possible means to improve their powers in the fastest time possible. Moreover, Yi Qingtang had planned to release her restrained cultivation stage when back in camp. But when she circulated the aura in her body, she had accidentally activated the deity ocean. Yi Qingtang's suppression on her cultivation stage had been maxed out. But as the power of the deity ocean spread, quite a bit of extra space appeared. This meant that Yi Qingtang could continue to cultivate using her cultivation stage suppression technique. If all went according to plan. If she could cultivate for more time in the secret room, she would ascend straight to the Divine Lord stage after removing the restraints. The teenagers didn't know what Yi Qing was thinking, but they obediently followed Yi Qing's instructions and started to cultivate. As they cultivated, they soon realized there was something different about this secret room. Pure energy surged continuously into their bodies, greatly delighting those teenagers. There were many sacred cultivation grounds in the various academies which could enhance the speed of cultivation. But the criteria to enter those sacred grounds were very strict. Amongst them, only Qin Feng had visited such places. Even so, Qin Feng felt that the effectiveness of this secret room was far better than even the best sacred cultivation ground in those academies. They all knew that if Yi Qing had not personally led them here, they would never have found this place. Even if they knew how to survive the matrix path and illusory doors, they would be stumped at the boundless river. They had to shut their senses and it was Yi Qing who led them through the river. That was the only way they had managed to pass through. Knowing that this was a rare opportunity to cultivate this way, the teenagers poured their hearts into their cultivation. After Yi Qingtang made sure that they had all entered into a state of cultivation, she finally started to cultivate herself. Inside the secret room, one could not tell the passing of day and night. The endless stream of energy surging into their bodies intoxicated those teenagers, who all dreamed of becoming more powerful. It was like time did not exist in this room. They had no idea how long they had spent cultivating and didn't care. All they wanted was to continue absorbing, continue cultivating. When Yi Qingtang felt that her suppressed energy had once again reached the maximum level, she gradually woke up from her cultivation state. The others were still cultivating. Yi Qingtang took out a piece of jade from her pocket. The jade clearly indicated how much time had passed since she started cultivating. This was something Yi Qingtang had prepared before coming here. She did not wish to become too immersed in cultivation and end up missing the Inter-Academy competition. So she had set a specific period on that piece of jade so that if she was still cultivating when that time was up, the jade would wake her up. Yi Qingtang glanced about. This time, she had spent more than a month cultivating here. It had been an even longer period than the previous session. It was rather strange. She thought that she could suppress and store at most an additional 30% of energy, but after the influence of the deity ocean, the amount of energy she could store had more than doubled. Yi Qingtang made a quick mental calculation of the time. The Inter-Academy competition was still several months away, but the academies would select their top students for the competition before that. It was time for them to return. Chapter 2285, Moving Up, 6, Yi Qingtang surveyed the teenagers who were still immersed in their cultivation. Astonishment flashed across her eyes. Lei Yan and the others had already spent more than a month training in the evil soul forest. Everyone's powers had increased significantly. Even the weakest of them had already reached the Paragon 8th heaven level. And now, after cultivating in this secret room for over a month, Lei Yan and the rest had all surged up to the Divine Lord stage. Yi Qingtang was shocked by this development. It should be pointed out that although the Divine Lord stage was the next major stage after Paragon, it was very difficult to ascend from one stage to the next. Many people ended up stuck at the Paragon 9th heaven level forever, unable to progress any further. But now, Yi Qingtang had brought 6 students up to the Divine Lord stage in one hit. She hadn't expected this at all. Even in a high-level academy like the Netherworld Academy, students at the Divine Lord stage would be considered elite in status. But Lei Yan and the others had just ascended the Divine Lord stage. They would need a period of time to stabilize their powers before they could become true Divine Lord stage practitioners. Even so, it was still astounding. Amongst them, Qin Feng's progress was the most apparent. Previously, he was already a prodigy who had been just one step away from ascending to the Divine Lord stage. It was only because of his mental demons that his powers started to decline. Now that his mental demons had been dispelled, his powers were improving at a rapid pace. Currently, he was already at the peak Divine Lord first heaven level. Just a little more and he would be able to reach the second heaven level. It should be pointed out that at the Divine Lord stages and above, the disparity between the different heaven levels was immense. Lei Yan and the others might also be at the Divine Lord first heaven level, but the gap between an early stage and a peak first heaven level was very wide. Qin Feng alone could annihilate Lei Yan and the other 5 without too much effort. This result was better than Yi Qingtang's expectations. But she noticed that the rate of progress was different amongst the teenagers. Perhaps it was related to their individual innate potential, or perhaps different people could absorb different amounts of energy from the array formation. Nonetheless, the result had still far surpassed Yi Qingtang's expectations. She woke the teenagers up from their cultivation. Having been woken up by Yi Qingtang in the middle of their cultivation, they were all still bleary-eyed. They felt like they had been suddenly pulled out of a limitless world. Everyone was still in a daze. Yi Qingtang was in no hurry. She patiently waited for them to recover their senses. Lei Yan shook his head and recovered some of his clarity. He then widened his eyes in shock. Damn! I'm at the Divine Lord stage already? His shout immediately snapped the rest out of their trance. After recovering their senses, they soon realized that they had all ascended to the long-desired Divine Lord stage. What the heck? They exchanged looks, feeling very surreal. If they hadn't come to this secret room, even if they gained enlightenment and cultivated extra hard, apart from Qin Feng, the others would need at least 5 years to ascend to the Divine Lord stage. But how long had they been cultivating? They were now at the Divine Lord stage. Boss, don't tell me that we have been cultivating here for more than 5 years. Jing Zhe widened his eyes in a daze, staring at his hands. This feeling, he really suspected that he was dreaming. No way. Did we really cultivate for that long? Nangong Lai swallowed hard. Feeling the surge of powerful energy in his body, even the usually calm Yun Chen was feeling rather shaken. Chapter 2286, Where did the energy go? 1. Boss, how long have we been cultivating? The group looked at Yi Qing. They were worried that she would say 3 to 5 years. Yi Qingtang was amused. Don't worry, not that long. You have been cultivating here for just over a month. What? Over a month? The group was shocked. Was this a joke? This was even more unbelievable than if he had told them they had been cultivating for 3 to 5 years. Just over a month, and it was enough to make this group of Paragon 9th Heaven level people surge right up to Divine Lord level. Was he joking? Snap out of it. It's about time to return to the academy, Yi Qing reminded them. Yi Qingtang was not entirely sure when the Netherworld Academy would select their candidates. It was safer to return earlier. The teenagers had yet to fully recover from their shock and joy. Still in a daze, they followed Yi Qing out of the secret room and out of the exit. The Night Soul Beast instinctively prepared to follow suit. But right before stepping out, Yi Qingtang suddenly stopped. The Night Soul Beast stared vigilantly at this cunning human. I am leaving. Thank you for your help during this period of time. Yi Qingtang gave a slight smile. As the Night Soul Beast looked on in puzzlement, she released it from their contract. The Night Soul Beast was utterly shocked. There are so many traps in the tomb, plus there is that black snake and your fellow Night Soul Beast standing guard inside. It should be very safe. We will meet again in the future if fate allows it. Yi Qingtang waved at the Night Soul Beast and stepped out of the exit. A strange expression crossed the face of the Night Soul Beast as it watched Yi Qingtang's departing profile. After Yi Qingtang and the group emerged, they headed straight toward the periphery of the Evil Soul Forest. Before leaving, Yi Qingtang noticed that the main door to the Fiend Celestial's tomb was now shut. Many factions were gathered outside trying to figure out how to open it. Yi Qingtang did not know when the main door was shut, but she had no time to bother about it. It was good that they couldn't enter. At least they could keep their own lives. Soon after, Yi Qingtang led those newly improved brats out of the Evil Soul Forest. For the time being, she had no plans to continue messing around with the dangerous Fiend Celestial's tomb. The various factions were unable to open the main door and wasted a lot of time outside the tomb. The sky gradually darkened, but they still had not figured out how to open it. They had no choice but to set up camp inside the Evil Soul Forest, and continue thinking of ways the next day. An old man floated over in the sky during the night. He was one of the 2 men who had visited the tomb earlier. But the elder with the mask was not there. The stoop-backed old man scanned the various factions who were in the forest. Hidden by the darkness of the night, he flew over to the mountain peak above the tomb. It has been over 2 months. The demon pearl should have absorbed quite a bit of energy, the old man spoke in a low voice. Lifting his hand, a gust of black air shot toward the mountain. In the next second, the black ball which had been floating in the secret room flew out of the mountain peak and landed in the old man's hands. With a smile, the old man sent a probing energy into the demon pearl. But he was stunned by what he discovered. What happened? Why is the energy inside the demon pearl so weak? The old man frowned deeply. Countless people from the various factions had entered the Fiend Celestial's tomb over the past 2 months. At least several hundred thousands of them had died inside the tomb, including a fearsome emperor-level practitioner. How could this be? Chapter 2287, Where did the energy go? 2. So many dead souls. The demon pearl would definitely have absorbed a lot of energy, but, the old man's face instantly turned grim. According to their plan, the demon pearl should have already absorbed enough energy. That was why they had closed the main doors of the Fiend Celestial's tomb. But, the old man could not understand. He took out his communication token. "My lord," the old man said respectfully. "Have you retrieved the demon pearl from the evil soul forest?" A deep voice rang out from the communication token. "I have, already retrieved it. Bring it back now." The old man's face stiffened. Hesitating a little, he finally said, "I have retrieved the demon pearl, but there is a small problem." "Speak." The old man continued. "There is not enough energy inside the demon pearl. I can sense that it is still at least 70 to 80% away from the amount of energy required by my lord." "What?" The voice from the communication token was instantly filled with anger. Cold sweat appeared on the back of the old man as he said hurriedly, "I don't know what happened either. Enough people have entered the Fiend Celestial's tomb and the demon pearl should have already absorbed enough energy. But I don't know what happened, my lord. Should we arrange to open the main door to the Fiend Celestial's tomb again? And have another batch of people enter?" The old man continued after a short pause. "There is a limit to how much energy the demon pearl can absorb at one time. My lord, you already planned to open the tomb regularly and entice the various factions to enter until we absorbed all the energy we needed. I think, it shouldn't be too big of an issue for us to extend this round." "Imbecile! How long do you think we can use this tomb for?" The old man was slightly taken aback. Before he could reply, the voice spoke out again. "Never mind. Arrange for some men to open the main doors. We will give it another month. By then, no matter how much energy the demon pearl has absorbed, you must bring it back." The old man did not understand why his lord was so anxious. But knowing his lord's temper, he naturally did not dare to ask. The old man returned the demon pearl into the tomb and left. But, he just could not understand why the demon pearl failed to absorb enough energy. Where did all that energy go? Could it be that the demon pearl was damaged? The puzzled old man had no idea that the demon pearl was not damaged at all. It had already absorbed enough energy, but, someone had stumbled into the secret room by mistake and discovered the secret behind the array formation. That someone had then brought along her students and absorbed all the energy. And they themselves had no idea what they did. Meanwhile, Yi Qingtang had led her group out of the evil soul forest and finally arrived at a city after several days of journeying. They were at the halfway mark from the academy. Having lived in the wilderness for several months, those teenagers suddenly felt somewhat unused to the bustling city. But after they settled down in an inn, they couldn't resist sighing in relief. They finally had a bed to sleep in. They no longer had to chew on those dry rations, they no longer had to soak in that bloodbath, but could take a nice long shower. Showered, well-fed and lying on a clean bed, the teenagers were nearly crying in happiness. It had been so long before they enjoyed such comforts. This was pure bliss. Chapter 2288, Consecutive Breakthroughs. 1. They were still teenagers after all and inexperienced. If Yi Qingtang had not led them through that encounter, they would probably still be the same as those other teenagers in the academy. Leading comfortable, pampered lives in the academy. Venturing outside to train now and then, but nowhere too dangerous. There was a certain disparity between an academy and a sect. Most of the teenagers in the academy were still in training. Their teachers might be strict, but they would still ensure their safety. They would seldom bring them to dangerous training grounds. But sects were different. After entering a sect, you were part of it and had to serve it wholeheartedly. The only thing of importance was that one had to fight for the glory of the sect. Even if you received a dangerous mission, you had to treat death and injury as if they were common-day occurrences. Yi Qingtang had stayed in both an academy and a sect. In her opinion, academies were too soft. As a result, Lei Yan and the rest had no idea just how dark and cruel the world could be. Yi Qingtang allowed those brats a few days' rest in the city and also took it as an opportunity to unleash her suppressed cultivation level. In case something went wrong during the process, Yi Qingtang flew out of the city in the middle of the night. Finding a remote spot in the wilderness, she finally settled down and gradually released the suppressed energy inside her. It was not a complicated process to unleash energy. But it had to be done slowly to allow enough time for the body to adjust. After making all the proper preparations, Yi Qingtang finally unleashed the suppressed energy inside her. The energy was like a wild beast who had been caged for a long time. Yi Qingtang had just made a small opening when the energy surged madly out of her body. The force was even more ferocious than Yi Qingtang expected. In the blink of an eye, with just that first round of energy unleashed, Yi Qingtang had already risen by 1 heaven level. A beam of light surged out of her body, shooting straight into the sky. Yi Qingtang calmed her heart before releasing another bout of energy. As she continued to release bouts of energy, Yi Qingtang's cultivation stage increased by leaps and bounds. A thunderous boom rang out as a beam of golden light descended, and the light completely engulfed Yi Qingtang. This breakthrough was more earth-shattering than the other previous ones. The boom was like thunder, echoing across miles and miles. Divine Lord level. The sleeping Lei Yan and gang suddenly heard the booming sound. Having already honed a keen sense of vigilance inside the evil soul forest, those teenagers all woke up. What's that noise? Lei Yan leaped up from his bed and pushed open the window. A beam of golden light shot down at a mountain not far off. It seemed to turn the night into day. What the hell? It's the middle of the night but someone is breaking through to the Divine Lord level. Lei Yan rubbed his eyes. He was wondering which practitioner was having a breakthrough now. If this was in the past, Lei Yan would have been insanely jealous at the sight of someone achieving the Divine Lord stage. But now, he was already at the Divine Lord stage himself. This was nothing special. Lei Yan was just about to fall back into bed to sleep when a rumbling noise could be heard. An even more intense beam of golden light had appeared in the vicinity of the first beam. Completely stunned, all notions of sleep left Lei Yan. Are you kidding me? That person underwent another breakthrough? The Divine Lord second heaven level. Chapter 2289, Consecutive Breakthroughs, 2, Lei Yan felt like he had just witnessed a miracle. This person had just achieved the Divine Lord level, how did he manage to break through again? Before Lei Yan could recover his senses, a booming noise rang out again. The golden light beam lit up the entire region, making it look like daytime. Lei Yan was dumbstruck. He gaped as he stared at the golden light outside the window. Again. Another breakthrough. This was the Divine Lord second heaven level. Damn, what kind of powerful freak is this? Beyond the Divine Lord stage, it was already very difficult to ascend 1 heaven level. Even rising from the initial to the middle and then to the late stage within a single heaven level was challenging enough. But this person's ascension across the levels was astonishing. It was like he was on enhancement drugs. 3 consecutive breakthroughs in the blink of an eye. How did this person do it? The world was full of wonders. Lei Yan and the rest were not the only ones in the city who noticed this phenomenon. Many practitioners were startled awake and they stared at the golden light beams, which were growing increasingly brighter. This meant that this person was undergoing consecutive breakthroughs. All the practitioners in the city were utterly shocked by this discovery. Was it that easy to ascend to the Divine Lord stage? Where did this freak come from? The practitioners were all very curious. They wanted to venture toward the golden light to take a look. But in the end, they held back their curiosity. A practitioner who could undergo breakthroughs in this manner, how fearsome must he be? Who knew what kind of person he was? What if he was angered and went on a killing spree? They would be in a tight spot then. With the golden light as the focal point, all the practitioners in the region personally witnessed a once-in-lifetime breakthrough spectacle. Watching those golden light beams appearing one after another, countless people were dazed by the sight. Yi Qingtang, who was the cause of this spectacle, was completely unaware of the furor she had created. She was filled with shock as she felt her own power surge continuously. She thought that she would only be able to break through to the Divine Lord first heaven level. But reality had her completely dumbfounded. By the time the final bout of energy was released, Yi Qingtang's cultivation level had ascended several times. She was now at the Divine Lord fifth heaven level. Beyond the Divine Lord fifth heaven level was an entirely different world. After unleashing all her stored energy, Yi Qingtang's cultivation stage was eventually stabilized at the Divine Lord fifth heaven level initial stage. But this had already far surpassed Yi Qingtang's expectations. That secret room is so formidable. Yi Qingtang could feel the immense energy gradually merging into her body. Breaking through consecutively was an intoxicating experience. Having observed Qin Feng and the rest for some time, she saw that they had different innate talents but were more or less at similar cultivation levels. After cultivating in the secret room for some time, the difference in their cultivation levels had not widened. But the disparity between Yi Qingtang and them was now as wide as the ocean. Yi Qingtang had pretty good innate talent, but not that great as to have produced such a wide disparity. She could only come up with one explanation. Mental energy. Having been reborn, her mental energy far surpassed that of her peers. The array formation's energy was likely linked to mental energy. The stronger one's mental energy was, the more one could absorb. At this thought, Yi Qingtang felt somewhat comforted. Quietly masking her powers, she then flew back to the city. Chapter 2290, Consecutive Breakthroughs, 3. It was the middle of the night and people in the city should have been sleeping. But when Yi Qingtang flew back to the city, she realized that quite a number of people were gathered at the city gates. Luckily it was dark enough and Yi Qingtang was high up in the air. As a result, no one noticed her. Yi Qingtang returned to her room, all prepared to have a good rest and acclimatized to her new cultivation stage. But at this moment, there was a knock on her door. "Boss! Boss!" Lei Yan's voice rang out. Yi Qingtang opened her door and saw Lei Yan and the rest standing in a row outside her room. "Boss, you saw it too, right? Right?" Lei Yan stared at Yi Qingtang excitedly. Yi Qingtang was puzzled. Saw what? Lei Yan and the rest were stunned. Some powerful practitioner underwent a breakthrough. "Boss, you didn't see it? You must have been sleeping too soundly. Someone underwent a breakthrough somewhere outside the city just now. And that fellow is a complete freak. We already felt that we had risen very fast when we cultivated in the secret room earlier. But this fellow is even more formidable. Guess how many times he broke through? Yi Qingtang, 5 times. 5 whole times. And at the Divine Lord stage." Lei Yan spoke excitedly. Yi Qingtang looked placidly at Lei Yan. 5 times? No, it was 9 times. However, those breakthroughs before the Divine Lord stage were quieter and did not wake up anyone. It's just a breakthrough. Go back and sleep. Yi Qingtang spoke impassively. As those brats looked on in bewilderment, she closed her bedroom door. Shut outside, Lei Yan and the rest were dumbfounded. Their boss' reaction was just like that. But how else could Yi Qingtang react? She had been worried about creating a scene after unleashing her stored energy and improving her cultivation stage. It was nothing shocking to have a breakthrough, but consecutive breakthroughs within a short period of time was mind-blowing. The cultivation method of suppressing one's cultivation level had not yet been invented. Yi Qingtang did not wish to be seen as a freak by others. But she had not expected to transcend so many levels at one go either. As much as she had wanted to maintain a low profile, now she had astonished an entire city of practitioners. Yi Qingtang's only piece of luck was that no one knew she was the one who had undergone all those breakthroughs. The next morning, Yi Qingtang emerged from her room and saw Lei Yan and the rest already downstairs and gathered with a group of other diners. It was still early morning, but the dining hall was already filled with people. And all of them were energetic martial art practitioners. At this moment, they were all gathered in what looked like a passionate discussion. Did you all see what happened last night? Of course we did, who didn't? Calm down. Do you think it was really just one person who made so many breakthroughs yesterday? Could it be a bunch of practitioners gathered together and who just happened to break through at the same time? How in the world can there be so many coincidences? Not only were the timings so close to each other, but each breakthrough was also higher than the previous one. How can there be so many coincidences in life? I think someone must have gotten some secret artifact. Otherwise, how can a normal person have so many breakthroughs over such a short period of time? Did you guys hear the news? What news? I heard that not long ago, the Temple of Paragon issued a notice that they wanted to get the Fiend Celestial's eye from the tomb. The various factions have been surging into the Fiend Celestial's tomb over this period. Do you think the person from last night got some precious artifact from the tomb, and so managed to attain such miraculous breakthroughs? Chapter 2291, Returning to the Academy, 1. At the mention of the Fiend Celestial's tomb, several people believed it was possible. After all, apart from the treasures left behind by the Fiend Celestial, where else on earth could there be such a wondrous artifact? Something which could allow someone to break through so many times over such a short period of time. The crowd was having a heated discussion, all on the topic of last night's phenomenon. All the while, Lei Yan and the rest were listening attentively. Yi Qingtang rapped those brats on the head, indicating that it was time for them to leave. Even after leaving the city, those teenagers were still deeply curious about last night's incident. Boss, say. Do you think that person really came out from the Fiend Celestial's tomb? And he really got a treasure? Lei Yan had personally experienced the tomb and had his cultivation level rapidly advance in that secret room. He naturally believed it was entirely possible. Yi Qingtang glanced at him. She could not even be bothered to reply to him. If I had known the treasures inside were so formidable, I might have just gritted my teeth and taken one. Before Lei Yan could complete his sentence, Yi Qingtang smacked the back of his head. Squash that thought if you don't wish to die. Take something from the Fiend Celestial's tomb. If Yi Qingtang had not been lucky and accidentally stumbled into that secret room, she would have perished inside even if she had 100 lives to spare. That black snake that could kill an emperor-level practitioner in seconds was not something which any normal person could handle. Yi Qingtang also felt rather curious. In her previous life, she had not heard about the black snake inside the tomb. How did those people manage to empty the tomb back then? Where did the black snake go? Regardless of the questions circling in her mind, no one would be able to solve this puzzle now. I was just making a casual remark. How can I possibly be that brave? Lei Yan spoke sheepishly. He had an overactive tongue and often spoke without thinking. If he was to really go and do it, he wouldn't have the guts. Nangong Lai and the rest stifled the urge to laugh at the sight of Lei Yan being smacked. Just as Lei Yan was about to say something, Qin Feng quietly shot him a look. Confused, Lei Yan was about to retort again, but Qin Feng's eyes were full of threat, immediately shutting him up. The others were more restrained. Apart from that brainless Lei Yan, none of them would dare mention the tomb in front of Yi Qing. Because they had already noticed that although the cultivation in the secret had greatly increased all their powers, someone's cultivation level had remained the same. And that someone was Yi Qing. It was a good thing for one's powers to increase. But the rest of them were very considerate and didn't make necessary remarks in front of Yi Qing. Everyone wished to improve their cultivation level, but for some reason, Yi Qing did not experience any progress. Anyone in that situation would feel upset. They were worried that Yi Qing was upset over this matter, and so kept their mouths shut. "Boss, are we returning now?" Yun Chen tactfully changed the topic. Yi Qing nodded. The selection for the Inter-Academy competition should be starting soon. Let's hurry back to the academy before that. Strange expressions crossed the faces of the teenagers at Yi Qing's words. They had never dreamed of being candidates for the Inter-Academy competition. After all, their initial powers were among the weakest in the school. There was no way they would dare to dream about the Inter-Academy competition. But now, things were different. Hot blood raced in their veins as a measure of confidence bloomed in the hearts of those teenagers. "Boss, don't worry. We will definitely not let you down this time. Just wait and see." Nangong Lai patted his own chest with gusto. Chapter 2292, Returning to the Academy. 2, the teenagers sped back to the Netherworld Academy with their emboldened ambitions. After arriving at the academy, they didn't notice anything strange. They just hung on to Yi Qing, chattering the entire way. In their excitement, they didn't notice that their appearance had captured the attention of several Netherworld Academy people. "Boss, well, head back to rest first. We'll come and find you tomorrow morning." It had been a long journey and they needed to rest. After bidding farewell to Yi Qing, they returned to their own lodgings. Similarly, Yi Qing went back to her room and washed up, changing out of her dusty clothes. At this moment, there was a loud knock on her door. "Yi Qing. Come out." Di Nua's voice rang out. Yi Qing had never got along with Di Nua and thought he was here to make trouble. Putting on her coat, she opened the door. However, Di Nua was not the only one outside. Several wardens were gathered behind Di Nua and they were all dressed in the same uniform. They were from the discipline hall. "Teacher Di Nua, what is the meaning of this?" Yi Qing asked when she saw the stern expression on Di Nua's face. "Yi Qing, you fled after committing a crime and even lured Lei Yan and the other students to go out and create trouble. Confess your wrongdoings." Di Nua glared at Yi Qing with a cold eye. It hadn't been too long since Yi Qing's return to the Netherworld Academy and someone already informed Di Nua of her return. He had rushed over with several wardens from the discipline hall, ready to arrest Yi Qing. "Flee after committing a crime. What crime have I committed? Why would I need to flee?" Yi Qing asked calmly. "Have you forgotten about Zhang Qiqiu?" Di Nua asked. Yi Qing looked at Di Nua and said in a cold voice, "Teacher Di Nua, Zhang Qiqiu's bloodline should have already recovered. Do you not find it rather ridiculous to still be trying to blame me for that?" Di Nua was stunned. "How did you know?" Zhang Qiqiu's bloodline had indeed recovered over a month ago. But Yi Qing had left the Netherworld Academy much earlier. "How did she know?" "I was the one who gave him the elixir, so of course I know," Yi Qing answered. Di Nua narrowed his eyes. "So what if his bloodline had recovered? The academy had yet to revoke your punishment when you brought those students out without telling anyone. How do you explain that? Netherworld Academy teachers are allowed to bring students out for external training." Di Nua only laughed at her words. "That's right. Netherworld Academy teachers can do so. But, you cannot. The vice president allowed you to enter the academy, but you are not an official teacher here. You don't have that right. You flouted the school rules again and again, and the Netherworld Academy would never retain such an immoral influence like you. You are to leave the Netherworld Academy immediately. You are never to step inside this place ever again. It came as no surprise that Di Noa didn't like Yi Qing. To him, having such a teacher in the Netherworld Academy was just a blemish on their reputation. The Vice President has already given me full authority to handle your matter. Yi Qing, you have no right to stand on Netherworld Academy grounds. Scram and get out immediately. Do not tarnish our clean grounds with your atrocities. Yi Qing Tang gazed impassively at the malicious expression on Di Noa's face. You don't have the final say over whether I have the right. Di Noa's face darkened. Yi Qing, don't make me use force. Chapter 2293, Returning to the Academy, 3. Just as Di Noa was planning to have the discipline hall wardens throw this piece of trash out of the Netherworld Academy, teacher Luo Sheng hurried over. Di Noa, hold on, Luo Sheng called out. Luo Sheng. What are you doing here? The Vice President gave me full authority to handle Yi Qing's case. I am about to throw him out of the Netherworld Academy. Di Noa frowned. Luo Sheng glanced at Yi Qing before continuing. The Vice President knows that Yi Qing is back and he wants to see him. Di Noa's face darkened. He could not understand. Yi Qing was merely a Paragon level 6th heaven level piece of trash. He was only good at talking. Why was the Vice President so benevolent toward him? Don't tell me the Vice President wants to let him off. Luo Sheng replied, the Vice President just said for you to bring him over. If there is anything else, you can ask him to explain in person. Di Noa's face looked increasingly grim. He shot Yi Qing a cold look before giving a contemptuous snort. Never mind. I want to see how the Vice President will handle Yi Qing's wrongdoings. Luo Sheng's own face darkened at Di Noa's words. But he was an even-tempered fellow and didn't say anything. Yi Qing, come with me to see the Vice President. Luo Sheng looked at Yi Qing. In response, Yi Qing nodded. Luo Sheng led Yi Qing away and Di Noa followed. Inside the Vice President's room, Wen Qi was sitting behind the study table. At the sight of Luo Sheng leading Yi Qing and Di Noa over, his face remained rather impassive. Vice President. Yi Qing Tang nodded at Wen Qi. Disregarding everything else, Yi Qing Tang had a pretty good impression of Wen Qi. He was not as narrow-minded as Di Noa and knew how to be flexible. He was also willing to research the evolution of martial arts. Yi Qing Tang had always respected practitioners like that. Wen Qi looked at Yi Qing, and a sliver of regret rose in his eyes. Yi Qing, why did you take the students out of the academy? Wen Qi asked. I brought them out to train. Yi Qing replied honestly. Di Noa gave a cold smile on hearing Yi Qing's words. Bring them out to train. You. Before Yi Qing Tang could say anything, Di Noa turned toward Wen Qi. Vice President, let's put aside the fact that Yi Qing is not an official teacher of the Netherworld Academy. Even if he was, with his powers, he is not qualified to bring students out for training. With his mediocre cultivation level, there is no way he can protect the students should they meet with danger outside. He would even become a burden. Yes, the teachers of the Netherworld Academy could bring students out for training, but they had to possess a certain level of skill. Academies were different from sections. When training outside, they would do their best to ensure the safety of their students. They would not expose them to any life-threatening dangers. Any teacher who wished to bring students out for training had to be of a certain level. And apart from the medicine faculty, all the Netherworld Academy teachers were powerful enough. And so everyone paid little attention to this point. But Yi Qing's powers were completely inadequate. He is overly arrogant and does not know his place. In bringing his students out for training, he is treating their lives like a game. Vice President, going by skill level or character, this person is not fit to be a teacher at the Netherworld Academy. I hope Vice President will think carefully for the sake of our academy. Di Nua's every word was dripping with venom towards Yi Qing. Chapter 2294, A Gamble, 1, Wen Qi frowned slightly. In the eyes of the Netherworld Academy, Yi Qing's actions were indeed not appropriate. But Wen Qi thought about the youth's deep understanding of martial arts and found it a right pity. Yi Qing, do you understand where you have gone wrong? Wen Qi sighed. No. Di Nua's face completely darkened at Yi Qing's unrepentant words. No. Then let me tell you. A piece of trash like you has no right to lead students. The vice president was just too kind to have placed you inside our academy. You became so arrogant that you took such a major risk with the lives of your students. Before Di Nua could finish his words, Yi Qing shot him a cold look. His face was devoid of expression, but somehow, Di Nua was completely stunned by that look. No, right? Yi Qing stared coldly at Di Nua before turning toward Wen Qi. Vice President, let me ask you first. What is the reason for the Netherworld Academy to bring students out for training? Wen Qi replied, to let students gain experience of the outside world, to polish their skills and advance their powers. Yi Qing nodded. So if one can achieve the same results, what should it matter what kind of teacher brings them out? Wen Qi was slightly taken aback. A bark of laughter ripped out of Di Nua's lips and his next words were full of mockery. Yi Qing, you still have no idea where you went wrong. So what if you manage to bring them back safely? Going out for training is not like going on a sightseeing tour. You brought them out for over 2 months. Students enroll in the academy to become stronger and not to mess around like you. You brought them out for a jaunt for over 2 months, do you know how much this will delay their progress? Without giving Yi Qing a chance to respond, Di Nua turned to Wen Qi. Vice President, Lei Yan, and the others are safe, but we cannot just let Yi Qing off because of that. Using training as an excuse, he lured those students out to fool around. This is a blemish on the reputation of the Netherworld Academy. Di Nua knew that Lei Yan and the others were safe. The moment news of Yi Qing's return reached his ears, he already knew Mu Ziying and her group had also returned in one piece with Yi Qing. But so what? Every single student brought out for external training by the academy had always returned with improved skills. Yi Qing, you said that all is fine as long as the results are the same. You are oversimplifying things. Vice President also said that external training is to increase the power of the students. And did you manage to achieve that? Di Nua smirked. He did not believe that a piece of trash like Yi Qing was able to take his students to a place good enough to train, let alone guide and protect them. It was probably just a slightly dangerous place. A person like Yi Qing would not dare to enter otherwise. He probably just found a place with peaceful mountains and clear rivers and messed around there for 2 months. It was clear Di Nua had no intention of letting Yi Qing off. Accusation upon accusation was forced on his head. Meanwhile, Yi Qing stared coldly at the blustering Di Nua. Without emotion, he spoke up calmly. So according to what teacher Di Nua just said, if Lei Yan and the rest improved over these 2 months, then the matter of me bringing them out for training will be considered settled. Di Nua smirked. If you have that capability, then things will naturally be settled. Yi Qing was just a paragon 6th heaven level. How much could Lei Yan and the rest improve in just mere 2 months? Di Nua completely disregarded the fool's words. Chapter 2295, A Gamble, 2, If it were other students, there might be a small possibility. But what kind of students were under Yi Qing? They were all problem students from the bottom pile of the various faculties. If not for Yi Qing's appearance, the academy would have already kicked them out a month ago. Those people had been in the Netherworld Academy for several years but showed no progress at all. It was near impossible for them to have improved in 2 months. With a piece of trash like Yi Qing, and those equally useless students, what sort of results could they hope to achieve? Yi Qing replied, Teacher Di Noa, is it you that has the final say here? Di Noa's face stiffened before he spoke directly to the vice president. Vice President, I am not trying to make things especially difficult for Yi Qing. I am just looking out for the interest of the Netherworld Academy. If Yi Qing is that capable and was able to improve the skills of Lei Yan and the others, even if it was by just a single heaven level, I will acknowledge that he has the right to be a teacher here. I wonder what the vice president thinks regarding this. Wen Qi had always held Yi Qing in high regard, but it was true that Yi Qing had indeed flouted the academy rules this time. And now, Wen Qi felt that Yi Qing was taking too big of a gamble. As the vice president, he naturally knew what Lei Yan and the other students were like. Even if a proper Netherworld Academy teacher spent half a year on those kids, it was impossible to raise any one of their cultivation levels. And there was Qin Feng, who was the most problematic of them all. Wen Qi glanced at Yi Qing with regret. He knew this would be a complete setback for Yi Qing. Someone who is able to improve the cultivation level of a student in just over 2 months, such a person would definitely have the right to become an official Netherworld Academy teacher, and to lead students out for external training. Yi Qing, did you hear that? Di Noa sneered at Yi Qing. Yi Qing nodded again. In fact, she was just waiting for Wen Qi to say that. In that case, I will have someone summon Lei Yan and the rest, Di Noa spoke up. He wanted to get rid of Yi Qing as soon as possible. But Yi Qing suddenly cut in. No need to be so anxious. What? Yi Qing, are you regretting it now? Di Noa narrowed his eyes. Yi Qing ignored Di Noa but only looked at Wen Qi. Vice President, is the selection for the Inter-Academy competition about to begin? Wen Qi was taken aback. He had no idea why Yi Qing was suddenly talking about the Inter-Academy competition. It will begin in 3 days. Yi Qing nodded before slowly turning to Di Noa. Teacher Di Noa, you feel that I have no right to bring them out for training, so why don't we have a bet? Di Noa's brows furrowed slightly. Yi Qing, what are you trying to do now? Yi Qing continued, there are still 3 days until the selection of candidates for the Inter-Academy competition. Since you want to see if they have improved, wouldn't it be best to test them in real battles? It would be a more realistic test. So let me make a bet with you. My 6 students will all represent the Netherworld Academy in the Inter-Academy competition. How about that? What? Everyone was dumbstruck by Yi Qing's audacity. Even Luo Sheng, who had remained silent the entire time, was utterly shocked. All of her 6 students would be able to represent the Netherworld Academy in the Inter-Academy competition. Had Yi Qing gone mad? Did he know what he was saying? All of those who represented the Netherworld Academy in the competition were elite students at the very top of the rankings. No teacher in the Netherworld Academy would dare to claim that they could produce not only 1, but 6 representatives. Chapter 2296, A Gamble, 3, Even the arrogant Di Noa did not have such confidence. To think that Yi Qing dared to make such a claim. And in front of Wen Qi. Yi Qing, are you just trying to delay? Di Noa did not believe that Yi Qing was really trying to make this bet. He was just trying to delay the inevitable by a few days. What? Teacher Di Noa does not dare to take on this bet with me. Yi Qing glanced at him from the corner of her eye. Di Noa's face darkened. How do you want this bet to go? If any one of them fails to qualify for the Inter-Academy competition, I will immediately leave the Netherworld Academy, never to step foot inside here ever again. Di Noa laughed. Yi Qing, your bet is meaningless. You already have to leave if Lei Yan and the rest show no improvement. Yi Qing continued, on top of that, I will kick Qin Feng and the rest out of the Netherworld Academy before I leave. Everyone was bewildered by Yi Qing's words. The Academy had already planned to kick Qin Feng and the others out of the Academy. But they had just postponed the act. One reason was because of Yi Qing's arrival, and the other was because of the family backgrounds of some of them. Jing Zhe was a commoner and the Qin family was already in decline. But the Leitang family would probably kick up a big fuss. This was one of the reasons why the academy kept on pushing back the act of kicking them out. But if Yi Qing carried out this dirty deed for them, the family clans would direct their anger toward him alone. And soon after, Yi Qing would be kicked out of the Netherworld Academy. There was no way the family clans could hold the Netherworld Academy responsible. The Netherworld Academy was not afraid of those family clans. It was just that they did not want to stir up unnecessary trouble. Not enough, still not enough, Di Nuo narrowed his eyes as a venomous light flashed across his eyes. Then what does teacher Di Nuo propose? Yi Qing asked. Di Nuo said, if you lose, you need to fulfill the first two things you mentioned. Apart from that, I want you to crawl out of the Netherworld Academy in front of everyone. This is to show the world that not just anyone can enter our academy. Wen Qi and Luo Sheng both frowned at Di Nuo's suggestion. But Yi Qing immediately agreed. Di Nuo looked at Yi Qingtang with a smug expression. He turned to Wen Qi. Vice President, please bear witness. In case someone decides to go back on his word after losing. Can I also borrow a pen and a piece of paper, please? Wen Qi shot Yi Qing a conflicted look before nodding. Almost immediately, Di Nuo wrote out 2 copies of the betting terms. He waited for Yi Qing to add his thumbprint. Hold on. Yi Qingtang looked at Di Nuo, who was just desperate to drag her down into the mud. What? Yi Qing, are you regretting things now? Di Nuo asked. Yi Qing shook his head. Of course not. But we have yet to conclude all the terms of the bet between you and me. Di Nuo frowned slightly. Earlier, Yi Qing had just talked about what would happen if he lost. He had not mentioned what would happen if he won, and Di Nuo had already eagerly agreed. In his opinion, there was no way Yi Qing would win. Go on, what would happen if you win? Di Nuo asked impatiently. I don't have any special request. If I win, I will just do unto teacher Di Nuo what you want from me. You will crawl out of the Netherworld Academy in front of everyone. Di Nuo's face instantly darkened. Yi Qing. How dare you want to try and degrade me like this? Yi Qing looked calmly at Di Nuo. Degrade? But teacher Di Nuo, you are the one who made this suggestion. Why? I have the guts to undertake this risk, but teacher Di Nuo. Are you afraid? Chapter 2297, A Gamble. 4. Di Nuo's expression shifted again. He did not expect Yi Qing to put up such a desperate fight. But thinking of the bet again, Di Nuo relaxed. There was no need for him to haggle with such a useless person. Right from the start, Yi Qing was destined to lose this bet. All right, I agree. Di Nuo put on a show of nodding graciously. He added the terms to the contract and both parties gave their thumbprints. They also left their mental imprint on each contract, before keeping their own copies. Vice President and teacher Luo Sheng are both witnesses to this bet. I will have peace of mind then. Farewell. Di Nuo shot Yi Qing a chilly look before hurrying away. Yes, he would give him 3 more days to struggle. After that, when the Inter-Academy competition selection began, he would have him crawl like a dog out of the Netherworld Academy in front of everyone. After Di Nuo left, Yi Qingtang also prepared to leave. Wen Qi glanced at Yi Qing as if he wanted to say something. But in the end, he remained silent. Yi Qing, let's walk out together. Luo Sheng spoke up after noticing Wen Qi's expression. Yi Qingtang nodded. After the two of them left the vice president's lodgings, Luo Sheng couldn't resist a sigh. Yi Qing, you acted too rashly this time. Yi Qingtang looked at Luo Sheng's exasperated expression. She remained silent. Luo Sheng continued. The vice president already had plans regarding today's matter. You did flout the academy rules, but we thought that as long as you admitted that you were in the wrong, even if you can no longer become a proper teacher here, you would not have to leave. Yi Qingtang was somewhat surprised by Luo Xing's words. Luo Xing patted Yi Qingtang on the shoulder. Similar to the vice president, he had high regard for Yi Qing's deep understanding of martial arts. While he might not be suitable to become a teacher, he was still a talent. After you admitted your mistake, the vice president planned to remove your status as a teacher. But even so, you could have continued to stay on in the academy as a warden. The vice president had everything all planned out nicely. He would keep you by his side to research martial arts. But you, sigh. Luo Xing couldn't resist sighing again. It could be said that Wen Qi truly admired Yi Qing's abilities. Otherwise, he would not have come up with such a comprehensive plan for him. But no one expected things to turn out this way. Wen Qi still had the president to answer to, so he could not go against academy regulations and pretend nothing happened. But he had already come up with a lifeline for Yi Qing. But in the end, Yi Qing made such a bet with Di Nuo. Even if Wen Qi wanted to keep him, it was impossible. Teacher Luo Xing, please help me thank the vice president. I appreciate his kind intentions, Yi Qingtang said. Yi Qingtang respected Wen Qi a lot. But his plans for her were not what she desired. You punk. You are still young but already so stubborn, sigh. Never mind, the die is cast. You still have 3 days, you should make the necessary preparations. Luo Xing shook his head with another sigh. He was not asking Yi Qing to prepare for the inter-academy competition. After all, the terms of Yi Qing's bet were just too ridiculous. He had 6 students under him and all of them had to be selected for the inter-academy competition. This was just one big joke. What he had to prepare for now was how to handle the humiliation he would be forced to endure in 3 days. Also, how to explain to Lei Yan and the others that they would be kicked out of the Netherworld Academy. Chapter 2298, Selection Trials, 1. Of course Yi Qingtang understood Luo Xing's meaning. But she also knew that Luo Xing had kind intentions and so she did not say anything more. Even if she tried to explain now, Luo Xing would probably not believe her. It was better to wait for everything to be revealed on the day itself. Yi Qingtang had her own motive for coming to the Netherworld Academy. Apart from that, she was not interested in meddling in the affairs of others. But this did not mean that she would let someone bully her. There were still 3 days until the selection trials. Yi Qingtang was not anxious. With the current cultivation levels of Lei Yan and the others, she was well aware that they just had to acclimatize to their new powers. As for the rest, Yi Qingtang would let them handle things themselves. So Yi Qingtang did not mention the bet to them. In those 3 days, those brats spent the entire first day sleeping. They finally reported to Yi Qingtang on the second day to ask some questions on martial arts. After receiving Yi Qingtang's advice and teachings, they went about their own ways to practice. 3 days passed by just like that. The Inter-Academy Competition Selection Trials officially began. This selection trial was very important to everyone in the Netherworld Academy. After all, the Netherworld Academy was a top academy. They had sent many elite talented teenagers to the Inter-Academy competition in the past. Especially that medicine faculty genius. The emergence of the Grand Master level alchemist had brought the Netherworld Academy to the top of the academy rankings. But over the past several decades, the Netherworld Academy had suffered multiple setbacks. They achieved very few satisfactory results. So this time, the Netherworld Academy was paying special attention to the selection trials. There were 2 ways to join the selection. One was for a teacher to recommend his best students. The other was for the student to sign up themselves. The Inter-Academy competition was extremely prestigious. If one could stand out in that competition, not only would they bring glory to the academy, they would pave a great future for themselves. All the teenagers from the various academies had the desire to compete. On the morning of the selection trials, students from the various faculties gathered at the arena. It's finally the day of the selection. I prayed for this day to come sooner. Do you know that our teachers have been like crazed maniacs because of this day? Training over the past few months has been intense. My body is nearly wrecked from all that strain. Only a few dozen people would be able to represent the Netherworld Academy in the Inter-Academy competition. But there were tens of thousands of students in the Netherworld Academy. It would be really difficult to be one of the few selected from such vast numbers. I have no idea what those teachers are thinking. Why not just train the top 50 students? This Inter-Academy competition has nothing to do with me, everyone knew their place. They knew that they would never be able to compete with the top students in the academy. They just served as training partners. In the past Inter-Academy competitions, the Netherworld Academy would choose the top students recommended by the teachers. If there was more than the required number, they would have the students battle it out. If other students believed they were good enough, they could also challenge the top 50. From then the winner would be selected. The loser would get lost. It was simple and brutal. But it was the truth. I say, have you seen Lei Yan over the past few days? The Leitang family youths surveyed the area as if looking for Lei Yan. Chapter 2299, Selection Trials, 2, Heaven knows where he has been recently. I don't think I've seen him in 3 months. Since he had that new teacher, he's been absent for entire days. Did you know that when I went to find him a few months ago, he told me not to disturb his cultivation? I nearly died laughing. One of the Leitang family youths grinned. I think this is a good thing. Now that he's absorbed in his own world, he seldom stirs trouble in the academy. Otherwise, we would have to keep cleaning up his mess. You're right. If not for the clan master's instructions, with his lousy skills and antagonistic character, he would have been beaten to death already. The Leitang family youths couldn't help smirking as they talked about Lei Yan. Although they came from the same clan, they looked down on Lei Yan's mediocre talents and bullying manner. The only reason they protected him was because they were instructed to do so by the clan master and because of Lei Yan's status as the clan's young master. I heard that the elders are questioning the clan master's favoritism toward Lei Yan. If Lei Yan is kicked out of the Netherworld Academy, the clan master will no longer have any excuses. That's right. It's fine that the clan master favors Lei Yan and invests so much of the family resources to groom that useless boy. It's fine if Lei Yan tries his best and shows some results, but we all know what kind of guy he is. If the Leitang family lands in his hands, we will only be following in the footsteps of the Qin family. Oh yes, didn't we hear that the academy was supposed to kick him out? Why hasn't there been any news since? Who knows? Perhaps the Inter-Academy competition selection trials are taking precedence and this matter has been pushed to the side for the time being. I think the academy might be having second thoughts about kicking him out. The youths chatted when a voice suddenly rang out beside them. Having second thoughts about kicking him out? Is he fit to be in the Netherworld Academy? Lei Yan would only be able to stay on in the academy until after the selection trials. Thereafter, he will definitely be kicked out. The Leitang family youths immediately turned toward the voice. Meng Yao was walking past with a few other teenagers in her tow. The Leitang family youths were all startled by the sight of Meng Yao. Previously, Meng Yao's cultivation level was not that outstanding in the Netherworld Academy, she could only be considered as a mid-level talent. But over the past few months, her powers had somehow shot up and she was currently at the Paragon 9th Heaven level mid-stage. She was just one step away from the Divine Lord level. Now, Meng Yao had been recommended by teacher Di Noa as a candidate for the selection trials. The Leitang family youths did not like Lei Yan, but no matter how messy one's domestic affairs were, one still had to protect the name of the family in front of outsiders. However, the youths hesitated after seeing Meng Yao. Never mind, no need to clash with Meng Yao just because of Lei Yan. This girl's power has risen tremendously, so it's best not to provoke her. Those youths were no match for Meng Yao if they got into a fight. The Leiting family youths kept silent. Meng Yao chuckled. Her newly enhanced powers magnified her naturally arrogant character. Although she didn't have any beef with Lei Yan before, unfortunately, Lei Yan was now a student of Yi Qing. Yi Qing had previously humiliated Meng Yao because of Mu Ziying, and Meng Yao remembered that incident very clearly. An unofficial, inferior trash of a teacher. There was no way she would let go of this grudge. Chapter 2300, Selection Trials, 3. Meng Yao saw that those Leiting family youths were keeping silent, but she had no intention of letting things go. She pretended to blow on her fingernails nonchalantly. Taking the hint, one of the teenagers beside her asked, "Senior sister, how do you know that Lei Yan won't be able to stay on any longer?" It was obvious Meng Yao had been waiting for that question, and she purposely raised her voice. "Don't you know? 3 days ago, Lei Yan's teacher claimed right in front of the vice president that all his students would be selected for the inter-academy competition. Otherwise, he would allow himself to be kicked out of the academy, along with all of his students." Meng Yao's voice was loud, and the Netherworld Academy students were all Paragon level and above. They heard every single word. The surrounding students were all stunned by Meng Yao's words. All his students would be selected? Damn, what kind of teacher would make such an arrogant claim? One of the students asked in a bewildered tone. "Lei Yan's teacher. I heard that he's a young teacher who just joined the academy. And he only has 6 students under him." 6. And he dares to make such a bold claim. But, since he dares to do so, his students must be very talented. And he himself must also be very powerful. 6 students were not considered a lot, but claiming that every single one of them would be selected for the inter-academy competition, this level of boldness was astonishing. Many people in the academy did not know about Yi Qing's situation. Hearing his bold claim for the first time, a good number of students started discussing it fervently. Meng Yao couldn't help sniggering at those words. Very talented. Let me see, which students are under him. Meng Yao swiveled her eyes and raised one hand, counting off her fingers. Lei Yan. Oh right, the useless young master of the Leiting family. Apart from acting cocky, his powers have not improved at all since he enrolled in the academy. The crowd was stunned at the mention of Lei Yan's name. Very talented. There was no way those words applied to Lei Yan. Jingzai. A poor kid from a common family. He is more or less one of the dregs of our academy, the crowd, Mu Ziying, That weird little freak. Or do you mean Nangong Lai, that lazy and frivolous good-for-nothing? Or Yun Chen, who gave up halfway and had to be transferred to the medicine faculty? Meng Yao listed out the names, and the curious teenagers looked increasingly shocked with each name. In the end, complete disbelief was written all over their faces. This ragtag bunch. Very talented. What a joke. This group was the disgrace of the Netherworld Academy. Oh, I nearly forgot. There is a truly talented teenager under that teacher. But he is a fallen genius. I think his name is Qin Feng. After listing out all the names, Meng Yao closed her hand into a fist. She held a grudge against Yi Qing, and her own teacher Di Noa also hated him. It was only natural that Meng Yao would never give up any chance to humiliate Yi Qing in public. As expected, everyone was dumbstruck by Meng Yao's words. These bunch of losers wanted to enter the inter-academy competition. What kind of joke was this? Even if they were given an emperor-level teacher, one couldn't possibly cook up a grand meal without any ingredients. Chapter 2301, Selection Trials, 4. Damn, I'm really curious now. What kind of godlike teacher has the confidence to send such students to the inter-academy competition? Don't tell me an emperor-level practitioner came to our academy to be a teacher. The teenagers continued their discussion. Someone who dared to make such a bold claim. Either he possessed out-of-this-world powers or he was just a madman. Meng Yao was only too happy to tell everyone the truth. Emperor-level practitioner. If he was really an emperor-level practitioner, Lei Yan and his gang would be in luck. A pity that, this teacher Yi is just a Paragon 6th heaven level. What? Paragon 6th heaven level? Are you joking? How can such a person become a teacher at the Netherworld Academy? Damn, I heard of something like this earlier. I thought it was just a baseless rumor. Didn't expect it to be true. A Paragon 6th heaven level teacher wants to send this bunch of losers to the Inter Academy competition. Are you kidding me? I think he must be crazy. What does he think this Inter Academy competition is? And what does he take us for? With abilities like his, if he can send Lei Yan and his gang to the Inter Academy competition, I will swallow the sword in my hand. He dares to make such a bold claim. Who would believe him? The minds of the students were truly blown. Never had they seen such a crazy, shameless person before. It was fine to make arrogant statements if you had some abilities. But this fellow was a loser with equally useless students under him. Who knew how he managed to wrangle his way into the school? Seeing that she had achieved her aim, Meng Yao left with a smile. But before leaving, she didn't forget to add something. Oh yes, that teacher Yi brought his students out of the academy for over 2 months, claiming that it was for external training. As a result, he made a bet with teacher Di Noa that if he cannot send his students to the Inter Academy competition, he would crawl out of the Netherworld Academy with his tail between his legs. We will be able to enjoy a good spectacle soon. With that, Meng Yao left with her cronies in tow. Everyone was in shock. Quite a number of students pestered the Leitang family youths, asking if Meng Yao's words were true. The Leitang family youths were also bewildered. They had no idea that Yi Qin would be so crazy, making such a ridiculous bet. They didn't care if Lei Yan wanted to fool around with that useless teacher, but they were now implicated as well. We don't know anything. Go and ask Lei Yan yourselves. The youths didn't want to say too much. Just standing there made them feel antsy and they quickly fled. On the high platform of the arena, Qin Xian was standing beside Gu Wei. He looked calm with the hint of a smile upon his lips. Qin Xian, have you made all the necessary preparations? Gu Wei looked impassively at Qin Xian. Qin Xian had finally broken through to the Divine Lord level a few days ago. His powers had surged and this made Gu Wei feel very assured. With Qin Xian's powers, he was already one of the top talents in the Netherworld Academy. In the entire Netherworld Academy, less than 10 teenagers had reached the Divine Lord level. Master, please don't worry. I have prepared everything, Qin Xian replied respectfully. Gu Wei nodded. Few students had caught his eye over the past several years. There were only 2 whom he had been willing to take under his wing. First was Qin Feng. Gu Wei had thought very highly of Qin Feng and was prepared to groom him into Netherworld Academy's top student. But after investing so much effort, he ended up with nothing at all. Chapter 2302, Selection Trials, 5, It was fortunate that Qin Xian was not like Qin Feng. Although his innate talent was slightly inferior, he was suitable to be groomed and had now achieved good results. Faculty Head Gu is too anxious. With Qin Xian's current powers, what's there to worry about? He will definitely enter the Inter Academy competition, he doesn't even need to attend the selection trials. One of the other teachers smiled. There were only a handful of students at the Divine Lord stage, there was no need to think too much. Qin Xian would definitely be selected for the Inter Academy competition. There wasn't even any real need for him to come today. Even if some students wished to challenge the top 50, they would never choose a genius like Qin Xian. You are too kind. It is all thanks to my master's teachings that I achieved what I have today. Master said before that a martial arts practitioner needs to remain modest and calm. By coming here and watching the battles today, I will be able to further my learning. Qin Xian spoke modestly. Gu Wei was very pleased with his student's words. The other teacher smiled. Faculty head Gu, you have gotten yourself a good disciple. Qin Xian is so willing to learn and possesses pretty good innate talent. I also hope that in the upcoming Inter-Academy competition, Qin Xian can bring glory to our Netherworld Academy. Qin Xian gave a humble smile. The teacher continued. Qin Xian, I heard that Qin Feng is under a new teacher now. Do you know much about it? Qin Xian replied, I have heard of it. The teacher sighed. It is such a pity regarding Qin Feng. He wasted your master's efforts and was unable to achieve anything. And now, he is under such a wayward teacher. I heard that if Qin Feng doesn't get selected for the Inter-Academy competition, he will be kicked out of the academy. The hint of a smile flashed across Qin Xian's eyes when he heard that. The last he saw him, Qin Feng's powers had already deteriorated to the Paragon 8th heaven level. Now, his powers had probably deteriorated even further. At his current level, there was no way he could enter the Inter-Academy competition. Qin Feng would soon be kicked out of the Netherworld Academy. From being the hope of the Qin family, he would fall to become their biggest disgrace. There's no need to talk about inconsequential people. Gu Wei spoke in a chilly voice. The teacher shut his mouth. Another smile flashed across Qin Xian's eyes. Qin Feng's existence was a thorn in Gu Wei's side. He was a blemish on Gu Wei's teaching career. It was natural that Gu Wei did not wish to hear him mentioned. Soon after, the selection trials commenced. The top 50 had already been chosen early on, and today was for students who had not been selected to step forward and challenge those 50. Many teenagers with rather good skills had already chosen their intended competitor and were ready to do battle. And nearly all of those from the top 50 who had been challenged was in the bottom 20. Few people would dare to challenge those in the top 30. As for the top 10, no one would even dare to utter their names. Intense battles filled the entire arena. Di Nua stood on the high stage, scanning the crowd. Nearly everyone was present. It had already been half a day since the trial started, but he was still waiting in vain for the person he wanted to see. Teacher Luo Sheng, has Yi Qin given up? I have yet to see him today. Di Nua looked at Luo Sheng. Luo Sheng frowned slightly. He also had no idea what Yi Qin was thinking. He had always believed that Yi Qin was just asking for trouble by making that bet. If so, why did he have to do it? Now that things had come to this stage, if he didn't make an appearance, it would be an automatic loss for him. Chapter 2303, Stepping Forward to Accept the Challenge. 1. Di Nua was not the only one waiting for Yi Qin. Having heard the news, many students were also waiting for the infamous teacher. They were extremely curious now after knowing the backstory. When would this audacious, arrogant teacher turn up and put on a good show for them? Don't tell me that Yi Qin is too afraid to show up. If it was you, would you dare? All 6 candidates selected for the Inter-Academy competition. That's a joke, right? And if he loses, he would have to crawl out of the academy. If it was me, I would have fled long ago to save what little bit of face I have left. There's no way I would offer myself up for such humiliation. He can flee, but what about Qin Feng and the rest? This bet also implicates those 6 students. If he doesn't dare to show up, he would be forfeiting the bet. Qin Feng and the rest would be kicked out of the school. Let them be kicked out then, it's not like it hurts him at all. Do you think he would care about some students whom he has only known for a few months? That's right. Nothing could be more important than one's own face. Just as everyone was discussing this, several figures suddenly appeared at the entrance of the arena. The students at the outer edge were the first to notice them. They were stunned by what they saw. It was Yi Qin and his students. Many students didn't recognize most of them, but Qin Feng had been famous in the past and few would fail to recognize him. When they saw Qin Feng standing among the group, they knew. The show they had been waiting for was about to start. Qin Feng and the rest of them are here. Someone shouted out loudly and everyone instinctively turned toward the entrance. 7 figures were standing at the entrance. Those 7 figures were of different heights and varying ages. But they all looked energetic and youthful, all dressed up in the Netherworld Academy's autumn uniform. And that was a snow-white robe with silver embroidery at the edges. Those 7 pristine white figures appeared in the crowd of students garbed in the normal black academy uniform, looking especially outstanding. Seriously? They dared to make an appearance? They're mad. The crowd grew even noisier as they watched those 7 figures. Yi Qing was at the front, leading the 6 students behind him while staring straight ahead the entire time. The crowd instinctively parted to make way for them. But their comments never ceased. Everyone's eyes were fixed upon the group, especially Yi Qing in the lead. This was the first time that many students were laying eyes on the legendary, audacious but useless teacher. All dressed in white, who does he think he is? This is what you call trying to put on a false front. I wonder if his clothes can remain so white when he has to crawl out of this place. The teenagers looked at Yi Qing's youthful, mediocre face and skinny frame with mocking eyes, some were laughing, some were scoffing, some were filled with curiosity. Countless eyes landed on Yi Qing and those 6 teenagers. Despite the endless sharp, jeering stares, the 7 of them remained oblivious, as if they were able to step above all the scorn and ridicule. From the entrance, Yi Qing Tang led her team to the front of the platform. Lifting her eyes, she met Di Nua's gaze on the high platform. Di Nua narrowed his eyes. Seeing Yi Qing was like seeing a lamb all ready for slaughter. From his position close by, Luo Sheng's brows furrowed slightly. At this moment, he didn't know whether he should admire Yi Qing's bravery or lament the youth's impending humiliation. Chapter 2304, Stepping Forward to Accept the Challenge, 2, Yi Qing, so you are finally here. Di Nua stepped forward and peered down imperiously at him. Yi Qing Tang stood calmly in her spot, meeting Di Nua's gaze without any fear. The selection trials have started. I wonder which student will you be sending on stage first? Di Nua lifted his chin arrogantly. Yi Qing Tang looked at Lei Yan and the rest. On their energetic faces, she saw the glimmer of confidence in their eyes. Which of you will challenge first? Yi Qing Tang asked. The teenagers exchanged looks. It was not fear and unease which had surfaced on their faces, but rather an excited urge to step up. Why don't you go first? Nangong Lai looked at Lei Yan. Lei Yan laughed. No. Why don't you go first? Or Jing Zhe is also a good choice. It would be good to have him go and set the pace. The teenagers kept trying to give way to each other. In reality, they were all itching to go first. But with Yi Qing present, they had to be courteous and gracious to each other. But seeing their display, the spectators were thinking otherwise. See, Lei Yan and his friends have no confidence to go up there. They are trying to make each other go up first. I wouldn't be willing either if it was me. With those lousy abilities of theirs, which of them is capable of challenging the top 50? Going up there would just be public humiliation. The crowd shook their heads silently. They already knew the result of this farce. Di Nua grew impatient as Lei Yan and his friends continued to insist on persuading each other, and he snapped in a cold voice, Yi Qing, don't try to waste any more time. If your students don't dare to step up, it would be considered a forfeit. And according to the terms of our bet, you will need to kick them out of the Netherworld Academy before crawling out of the main doors yourself. From then on, you will not be allowed to step inside the academy ever again. Di Nua's voice echoed throughout the entire arena, reaching every single corner. Lei Yan and the others were stunned. What bet? Boss, what's going on? Jing Zhe was the first to recover his senses. He quickly asked Yi Qing Tang. Yi Qingtang didn't expect Di Noa to publicly announce their bet. She had wanted to keep this from those brats. It's nothing. Just a minor bet. Yi Qingtang tried to gloss over it. But many nosy spectators were surrounding them. One of those bystanders called out. Jing Zhe, don't you guys know? Your teacher made a bet with teacher Di Noa in front of the vice president a few days ago. If any one of you six fails to get selected for the Inter-Academy competition, he would personally kick you out of the Netherworld Academy before crawling out himself. The person placed special emphasis on the word crawl. The faces of Qin Feng and the rest immediately grew solemn. It was like a layer of frost was covering their faces. They stared at Yi Qing. Yi Qingtang felt a headache coming on. Damn, looks like she couldn't hide things anymore. The crowd couldn't resist smirking at the expressions of Qin Feng and his group. It was clear that Yi Qing didn't discuss this bet with them. Qin Feng and those fools would be hopping mad now that they knew their own teacher had betrayed them. There was no way they would be willing to step onto the arena now. Chapter 2305, Stepping Forward to Accept the Challenge. 3, Boss, is what they are saying true? Qin Feng looked at Yi Qing with a frown. Knowing that the jig was up, Yi Qingtang nodded. Qin Feng took a deep breath. Nangong Lai and the others also looked very grim, while Mu Ziying was clenching her fists tightly. Yo, discovering now that you have been betrayed. So pitiful, those busybody bystanders commented provocatively. I already said it, if Qin Feng and the others knew that Yi Qing used them in a bet, they would never have come. And that teacher. He's really immoral, scornful remarks poured forth from the crowd. Those words were like icy snow brushing against the faces of Qin Feng and the others, making their expressions colder by the minute. In a rare fit of silence, Lei Yan grunted before heading straight onto the fighting platform. But before he had taken more than a few steps, Nangong Lai had dragged him down. Let me go first. Nangong Lai's usual frivolity had completely disappeared. All that remained on his face was a chilling expression. Don't fight with me this time. Let me go first. Lei Yan gritted his teeth. I am the senior brother, I should lead the way. The usually silent Jing Zhe suddenly spoke up. The crowd, who had been waiting for Lei Yan and his gang to stomp off in a rage, was utterly dumbstruck. What was going on? They had been trying to push each other to go up first earlier. Why had they suddenly changed their tune? Not only that, now they were all fighting to go up the platform first. What was happening? The crowd was bewildered. Things were progressing in a completely unexpected way. Just as Lei Yan and the rest were nearly coming to blows over who got to go up first, a petite figure flew up onto the battle platform. Student Mu Ziying, I have come to make a challenge. Mu Ziying's childish voice rang out over the ears of the crowd. Lei Yan and the rest stopped scuffling to see the white-garbed Mu Ziying already standing on the platform. Everyone was stunned. Now that Mu Ziying was already on the platform, they could not substitute her with another. It would be considered a forfeit. A mocking smile flashed across Di Noa's eyes when he saw Mu Ziying. Oh. Who do you want to challenge? Mu Ziying glanced past Di Noa to look at Meng Yao. As the crowd stared on, she lifted her hand and pointed at Meng Yao. I want to challenge her. Everyone was thunderstruck when Mu Ziying singled out Meng Yao. Has Mu Ziying gone mad? Does she want to challenge Meng Yao? Meng Yao is a Paragon 9th heaven level now, just one step away from the Divine Lord stage. Is Mu Ziying trying to commit suicide? Meng Yao didn't expect Mu Ziying to challenge her. It should be pointed out that with her current powers, although she was still not in the top 10, she was comfortably ranked in the top 15. What was Mu Ziying doing? She dared to challenge her. Di Noa was not interested in who Mu Ziying chose to challenge. The only thing he wanted was to end this farce quickly and have Yi Qing crawl out of the Netherworld Academy. Meng Yao, finish this as soon as possible. Don't delay, Di Nua urged Meng Yao. Yes, Meng Yao replied before flying onto the fighting platform. On the platform, two figures, one big and one small, stood facing each other. Meng Yao looked at Mu Ziying, a cold smile playing upon the corners of her lips. You're pretty lucky today. Teacher instructed me to end this quickly, so you won't need to suffer too long. Meng Yao shook out her wrists. If you need to blame someone, blame it on Yi Qing. Even though he's a useless piece of trash himself, he is sending you all to your own death. Despite the provocation, Mu Ziying remained expressionless. She simply stared at Meng Yao with impassive eyes. Chapter 2306, Divine Lord Stage 1. Meng Yao hated Mu Ziying's dark, quiet expression that was filled with apathy. Raising her sword, she was instantly surrounded by a harsh, chilly glow. Everyone gasped the moment she activated her sword. Apart from those who were Divine Lord level and above, everyone could feel the suffocating pressure of that oppressive aura. A powerful existence just below that of the Divine Lord stage. She certainly lived up to her name. Mu Ziying probably wouldn't be able to withstand even this first blow. Glee flashed across Di Nua's eyes when he saw Meng Yao brandish her sword to attack. He instinctively looked at Yi Qing, hoping to witness the latter's flustered expression. But, Yi Qing remained emotionless. He stood there, arms across his chest as if he was watching some inconsequential competition. Di Nua frowned slightly. But he quickly understood. After all, this had always been a hopelessly one-sided match. Yi Qing knew it himself. On the fighting platform, Meng Yao had been instructed to end the match quickly so she did not show any mercy to Mu Ziying. With a vicious slash, the powerful sword aura looked as if it would slice the ground in half. But just as Meng Yao attacked, Mu Ziying suddenly lifted her head. At the same time, the surrounding air seemed to solidify. The hand which Meng Yao used to hold her sword felt like it had been gripped by a wide palm. Frozen in mid-air, she was unable to move her sword even half an inch, despite putting in all her energy. The spectators thought the match would end the moment Meng Yao's sword landed. No one expected Meng Yao to suddenly stop. What happened? Why did Meng Yao suddenly stop moving? The crowd was puzzled. They thought Meng Yao must be giving Mu Ziying a chance. Di Nua was further away and could not see clearly what was happening. He just saw that Meng Yao had halted and thought she must be trying to drag out the match and torture Mu Ziying slowly. He called out in a cold voice. Meng Yao, don't waste time. On the platform, Meng Yao's forehead was already drenched in a layer of cold sweat. Di Nua's reprimand entered her ears, making her expression turn even grimmer. She was not dragging out the match. She couldn't move at all. Meng Yao herself did not know what was happening. It was like she was being suppressed by an invisible force. She could not move a single inch. Looking at the immobile Meng Yao, Mu Ziying finally spoke. You insulted my teacher, I want rest until you are punished. A powerful aura surged from Mu Ziying as she spoke. A suffocating pressure immediately enveloped the entire arena. Everyone was stunned. Meng Yao's eyes widened in disbelief. Divine Lord stage. Mu Ziying was a Divine Lord level practitioner. How could this be? Meng Yao was not the only one who was shocked. Everyone in the crowd was gaping at Mu Ziying. This is the Divine Lord level. Mu Ziying is a Divine Lord stage practitioner. Astonished cries rang out from the crowd. They could hardly believe the Divine Lord level aura they were now experiencing. Di Nua's face turned extremely grim. How was it that he had no idea Mu Ziying was so powerful? A Divine Lord level practitioner was enough to lift Mu Ziying straight up to the top 10 in the Netherworld Academy. Chapter 2307, Divine Lord Stage 2. All along, Meng Yao had been priding herself on being just below the Divine Lord stage. Now, this point of pride had turned into a big joke. Even the most powerful practitioner below the Divine Lord stage was still below that stage. And the Mu Ziying standing before her was a true blue Divine Lord level. Meng Yao was just one step below, but the disparity was massive. Before the crowd could recover from their shock, Mu Ziying reached out one palm. The movement looked light and gentle, but the force created crushed Meng Yao's sword into a ball of scrap metal. The palm then made direct contact with Meng Yao's chest. Oof! Meng Yao was defenseless against the suppressive aura of a Divine Lord level practitioner. Struck by that palm, she flew out of the battle platform and landed heavily beneath the high stage. Fresh blood spurted out of her mouth. Everything happened too fast and too suddenly. No one was able to react. Mu Ziying looked impassionately at Meng Yao on the ground below, who was still vomiting blood. She turned and surveyed the crowd with malevolent eyes. If I hear anyone talk bad about our boss again, they will meet the same fate as her. Mu Ziying's voice was as cold as ice. That malevolent gaze made everyone shudder in fear. Who else would dare say anything more about Yi Qing after this spectacle? At this moment, the hearts of everyone were filled with doubt. Who could tell them when Mu Ziying had broken through to the Divine Lord stage? Surely it wasn't too long ago when she was just a pitiful little kid who was helplessly bullied by Meng Yao. After Mu Ziying issued her warning, she walked off the platform and stood beside Yi Qing. As everyone watched on, she threw herself into Yi Qing's arms with a cry. "Boss, you have suffered so much." Mu Ziying sobbed wretchedly. She never imagined that Yi Qing had been forced to undertake such a bet. Unless forced to a corner, who would risk their dignity in a bet? Was it really that important if they were kicked out of the academy? Without Yi Qing, they would have been kicked out long ago. Mu Ziying could bear any kind of hardship or scorn, but she would never allow anyone to disparage Yi Qing in front of her. This was her heart's most precious, most respected boss. No one could make boss suffer. Not even a god. Yi Qingtang looked at the sobbing Mu Ziying, who had been a mighty and intimidating figure on the platform just moments before. She didn't know whether to laugh or to cry. Mu Ziying's tears soaked through her shirt. The warmth moist seemed to seep into Yi Qingtang's heart. By the side, Lei Yan, Nangong Lai and the rest also felt a tugging at their heartstrings as they watched Mu Ziying's sobbing back profile. When they heard of that bet, an unprecedented sense of rage and heartache had risen in them. It was because they had been useless, that was why boss had been doubted. Lei Yan took a deep breath. Then he leaped onto the battle platform. "Student Lei Yan, I am here to declare a challenge." They would protect their boss. The crowd had yet to recover from the shock of Mu Ziying's performance when they saw Lei Yan standing fiercely on the platform. That fearsome, murderous aura was completely unlike the Lei Yan they used to know. "Who do you want to challenge?" Lei Yan said in a low voice, "Hang Wenwei." Everyone was stunned. Madness, pure madness. Lei Yan was challenging the student ranked number 10 in the Netherworld Academy. Chapter 2308, Divine Lord Stage 3, the people from the Lei Tang family nearly went crazy. They felt a desperate urge to rush up and drag that insane Lei Yan off the platform. Did their young master know his place at all? Could he please come down now and not cause such an embarrassment to the Lei Tang family? As Hang Wenwei was not present, the teachers sent someone to get him. He was confused as he thought that no one would ever challenge someone from the top 10. But in the end, there was really someone who was that audacious. Hang Wenwei was curious to see who was so gutsy. When he ascended the platform, he saw Lei Yan. Hang Wenwei was bewildered. Unbelievable. That useless Lei Yan wanted to challenge him. Don't waste time talking. Make your move. Lei Yan had a gut full of rage suppressed inside him. He wanted to use his powers to prove to everyone that their boss was better than any one of the other teachers. And he was the best example. Before Hang Wenwei could figure out what was happening, Lei Yan unleashed his aura and that Divine Lord level energy engulfed the entire arena. The crowd, what the hell? Unbelievable. Lei Yan was at the Divine Lord stage. The Leitang family teenagers were completely dumbstruck. Seeing Lei Yan covered in his Divine Lord level aura was like seeing a strange monster. Was this the Lei Yan whom they knew? Could someone else be impersonating him? Hang Wenwei, who could tell him if this person before was for real or a fake? Was the Leitang family going to such extremes to protect Lei Yan that they sent someone to impersonate him? Lei Yan wanted to show everyone the results of Yi Qing's teaching and he immediately struck out at Hang Wenwei. Ranked number 10, Hang Wenwei had just managed to brush against the Divine Lord level. He was not officially at that stage yet. Faced with an aggressive guy like Lei Yan, who was also a proper Divine Lord stage practitioner, Hang Wenwei was utterly defeated within 3 moves. I concede. Hang Wenwei was staring at Lei Yan with red-rimmed eyes. How was this a competition? It was a death match. Those who were not in the know might have thought there was some deep-seated grudge between them. Hang Wenwei's surrender meant that Lei Yan had won. Lei Yan stood on the battle platform, glaring fiercely at the crowd. Boss Yi Qing personally groomed me to where I am now. Any one of you who feels indignant about that, please come up here. I will beat you until you no longer feel any indignance. The crowd, how terrifying. When did he become a Divine Lord level? Even if he had consumed some miracle elixir, he could not have possibly progressed so fast. First there was Mu Ziying, and now Lei Yan as well. They were both Divine Lord stage practitioners. Just what was going on? Everyone immediately turned to look at Yi Qing who was standing beneath the platform. At this moment, they were looking at him with completely flabbergasted expressions. What was this teacher's background? To be able to produce 2 Divine Lord stage practitioners in just a few months. And with students who had notoriously terrible foundations. Was this teacher some kind of god? On the high stage, Di Nuo's face was grim to the extreme. He never dreamed that Mu Ziying and Lei Yan had ascended to the Divine Lord stage. This was one big joke. One teacher who was able to produce 2 Divine Lord level students. This was simply not what ordinary people dared to even dream of. Even the arrogant Di Nuo had only managed to produce 1 Divine Lord level student so far. And that student was naturally gifted. He was already at a very high cultivation level when he first entered the school. It was completely unlike Mu Ziying and Lei Yan, who had been nearly kicked out of the academy for being too lousy. Chapter 2309, Come Up for a Beating. 1. Luo Sheng was standing beside Di Nuo. He was also dumbstruck. At present, no one expected Lei Yan and Mu Ziying to have suddenly become Divine Lord level practitioners. How on earth did Yi Qing do it? Countless questions surged in Luo Sheng's mind. With a sudden shudder, as if he realized something, he flew off the high stage. Wen Qi was not yet at the arena. Perhaps he already predicted Yi Qing's defeat and couldn't bear to come and watch the depressing scene. But now, Luo Sheng only had one thought on his mind. He had to tell Wen Qi everything that had just happened. No matter what kind of performance the rest of his students put up, just the fact that he managed to improve the cultivation levels of 2 mediocre students to the Divine Lord stage was a miracle. No, it was more than a miracle. They could never let a person like her leave the Netherworld Academy. Otherwise, it would be a great loss to the school. Luo Sheng couldn't deny that he was both happy and worried for Yi Qing. Although Lei Yan and Mu Ziying's performances astonished everyone, there was still that bet between Yi Qing and Di Nuo. As long as one of his students failed to get selected for the inter-academy competition, he would have to leave the Netherworld Academy. Luo Sheng would never stand by and let this happen. He had to get Wen Qi to come over as soon as possible. Everyone at present had been dazed by the first 2 matches. No one noticed Luo Sheng's departure. The students undergoing their own matches on the other platforms had also stopped. Their attention was already drawn over to the amazed cries. At this point, everyone was focused on Yi Qing and his students. What's happening? Those two are Divine Lord level, how come I have no impression of them at all? The teenagers looked doubtfully at Lei Yan and Mu Ziying, who were standing behind Yi Qing. The aura exuded by the two of them had been suffocating. It was the power of a Divine Lord stage practitioner. Mu Ziying kept a very low profile in the academy and few people even knew of her existence. As for Lei Yan, he was a big bully but he mostly provoked those lower-level students. He kept a safe distance from anyone with a certain level of skill. Those who could stand on the battle platform today were all the elite of the Netherworld Academy. They were focused on their cultivation and with tens of thousands of students in the school, they wouldn't pay any attention to those two nobodies. Even after that earlier bullying incident instigated by Meng Yao, there were still some students who had no idea what had happened. But, two Divine Lord level students had appeared out of nowhere. This was not something that anyone could overlook. It should be pointed out that there were only a handful of powerful freaks in the Netherworld Academy who were at the Divine Lord level. Everyone was well aware of that. Upon the high stage, Di Noa looked very grim. Taking a deep breath, he suppressed the panic in his heart. It's only two students. Yi Qing, who's next? Di Noa did not believe that Yi Qing could continue his lucky streak. Two Divine Lord level students were already the limit. Di Noa had no idea how Yi Qing did it, but he would never believe that the rest of the latter's students would be as powerful. As long as just one of them failed, Yi Qing would have to carry out the terms of the bet. And he would definitely be the one to lose. Chapter 23:10, Come Up for a Beating, 2. Before Yi Qingtang could say anything, Nangong Lai leaped up onto the platform. Student Nangong Lai. I have come to challenge Gong Jinyun. Everyone at present gasped again. Things were escalating. Really escalating. Lei Yan had just challenged the number 10 student. And Nangong Lai was now challenging the one ranked number 9. Lei Yan cursed under his breath after hearing Nangong Lai's challenge. Damn, that fellow is so despicable. Because of the bet and because he was still getting used to his new cultivation level, Lei Yan didn't dare to challenge someone too highly ranked. But after sparring with Hang Wenwei, Lei Yan realized just how much more powerful he was. Nangong Lai naturally also noticed this. This was why he purposely chose someone just one rank higher. Lei Yan was hopping mad at Nangong Lai's move. Just like Hang Wenwei, Gong Jinyun was not at the arena either. After being summoned, he was just as confused as Hang Wenwei had been. But as he passed by Hang Wenwei, he saw that Hang Wenwei's eyes were full of conflict. Gong Jinyun was even more mystified at this. Good luck. Hang Wenwei patted Gong Jinyun on the shoulder in a meaningful manner. Gong Jinyun, what the hell? Good luck. When Gong Jinyun stood facing Nangong Lai, he didn't show much of a reaction. After all, at least Lei Yan was the young master of a major family clan. The frivolous Nangong Lai was a complete nobody. Please go ahead. Gong Jinyun was perplexed but he compliantly accepted the challenge. Nangong Lai was all smiles as he cupped his fist politely. Just as Gong Jinyun was musing over why this teenager, whom he had never met before, would dare to challenge him, Nangong Lai charged forward and unleashed his aura. The Divine Lord's stage aura enveloped the entire arena. Gong Jinyun, what the hell? Where did this fellow come from? The appearance of a third Divine Lord level practitioner sent the already shocked crowd straight into a stupefied daze. Gong Jinyun never expected Nangong Lai to be a Divine Lord stage practitioner. Before he could react, he was struck off the platform by Nangong Lai in just 3 moves. The entire process was so fast that Gong Jinyun failed to react and was as dumb and stiff as a wooden chicken. Brother, I understand how you feel. It's fate. Hang Wenwei, who had just experienced a similar outcome, patted Gong Jinyun on the shoulder. Thankfully he was not the only one who lost face today. Nangong Lai turned and raised a provocative brow at Di Nuo. He then leaped off the platform and used his Divine Lord energy to amplify his voice. Everyone listen up and listen well. All those who insulted my boss previously, I will remember you. Nangong Lai surveyed the crowd, the threat in his eyes was clear. Having been warned by 3 consecutive Divine Lord level practitioners, those busybody student spectators shivered in fear. At this point, they felt an angry urge to beat up Meng Yao for spreading such baseless rumors. Didn't she say they were a bunch of useless fools? How were they useless? They were a bunch of killing machines. The crowd had yet to recover from Nangong Lai's threat when a figure dashed up onto the platform. Student Jing Zhe, I have come to challenge. Jing Zhe chose the student ranked number 8. By now, the crowd was already numb from the repeated shock. Ha! Well, well. 3 Divine Lord level practitioners. Even if this Jing Zhe was also at the Divine Lord stage, they would no longer be surprised. It's just the Divine Lord stage. A bunch of lunatics. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.